Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you all for coming here, and thank you to the church for allowing us to be here with all of our residents, and we really appreciate it. We love the fact that you're here, and we are here to listen to you, and we value your input. And the first thing we're going to do is call to order. We're going to do a roll here.
Greg Julian.
Melissa Lockhart.
Janice Denton.
Okay. Carla, will you do the invocation first, please?
The last 3 times that I have prayed at City Council, we had to open in prayer. Not an open in prayer, I'm sorry. We had a moment of silence for one catastrophe or another. And I just thought this morning, as we sit in God's house, we all have unspoken requests. We all have things in our lives, things on our heart that we could bring to the Lord this very day. So let us just take a few moments and just meditate on those things and take the opportunity that God has given us here in His house. Dear Lord, we come before you this day as your people, and as your people we humbly pray and seek your face and your wisdom in our lives. We know, Lord, that we have failed you many times. We are thankful, Lord, that you are a forgiving God. We pray and remember to look for you for guidance when we need decisions that we need to make. Lord, bless this council and the decisions they make here today, that they be pleasing to the people of Punta Gorda and pleasing to you. Father, bless every family that is here today, Lord. Bless them and bless our nation. Father, we see so much turmoil in our large cities today. It is truly disgraceful. Lord, you have an answer for us. It's in 2 Chronicles 7:14. And it says, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, I will forgive them, I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And one of the things I also do is please, all of our veterans who are in-house here, please stand. Thank you so much for signing that dotted line and serving our country. Do we have any announcements? Our next meeting is going to be October 22nd, and it'll be back at the Lashley Community Room. Okay. Do we approve the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
We were going to move that one,
We got it.
couple of them up.
Okay, so we're going to start out with proclamations. The first one is going to be the Adeline Leonard Sequid Day.
Good morning. Proclamation, City of Punta Gorda. Whereas the City of Punta Gorda and its residents mourn the passing of our cherished and inspirational resident, Adeline Leonard Sequid, who passed away on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, at the age of 102. And whereas Adeline began a remarkable career as a John Robert Powers model and actress before finding her true calling behind the camera, where she became a distinguished production coordinator on iconic films and television shows such as Superman, Annie, Ragtime, 3 Days of the Condor, Trading Places, and The Patty Duke Show. And whereas Adeline was a co-founder of her union, Local 161 IATSE, playing on instrumental roles in elevating the professional title of production secretary to production coordinator, a change that's become an industry standard, for which she was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2008. And whereas after relocating to Punta Gorda more than 30 years ago with her beloved late husband, Herbert J. Seekwood, Adeline embraced her new community with boundless enthusiasm and dedication. Whereas for 3 decades, she served as the beloved Sunshine Lady for the Punta Gorda Isles Civic Association, a title she truly embodied by personally welcoming countless new residents to our city with her warmth and kindness. And whereas she further dedicated herself to our community by volunteering for over 25 years with the Isles Girls and Guys, where her signature hugs and bright-eyed energy became a cherished part of her service. Therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, does proclaim October 8th, 2025 as Adeline Leonard Seekwood Day, and extend the heartfelt gratitude of our community for the joy and dedication and the vibrant spirit that she brought to our city. She was a wonderful lady, and accepting this is her daughter, Nanette.
I just would like to thank Melissa and the City Council. My parents lived here for 30 years. This is her. I'm not accepting this award. And they love this city. They love the people in this city. And this is a wonderful way to honor her. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You can come on up, Slim. So this proclamation is given to Slimmy, and she's Food and Water Watch. Okay. Whereas the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 6th Assessment Synthesis Report 2023 listed a current temperature rise of 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, which has contributed to an increase in extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and disruption to ecosystems and human livelihoods. And whereas Florida, with over 825 miles of sandy beach coastline, 8,436 miles of coastline, 16,236,190 coastal residents, more than 5.3 million acres of submerged land and coastal uplands, and many areas just a few feet above sea level, is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, including sea level rise, flooding, saltwater, how's that? Is that better? Intrusion and stronger, more frequent storms. And whereas climate-related changes such as ocean warming, acidification, and pollution pose several threats to Florida's coral reefs, marine biodiversity, and fisheries, which are vital to the state's environmental health and economic prosperity. Whereas Volo Foundation, in partnership with local municipalities, nonprofit organizations, elected officials, academic institutions, media, and community leaders, is committed to educating Floridians about climate change and empowering them with data-driven solutions to take action for a more resilient future. And whereas Florida Climate Week, held annually in October, offers a platform for communities across the state to engage with climate science, policy, innovation, and resilience strategies through accessible programming available at floridaclimateweek.org. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, does hereby proclaim October 6th through the 12th, 2025, as Florida Climate Week, passed and duly adopted this 8th day of October. It's really important for us to understand, this was long and lengthy, but it really is important for us to understand that we need to protect our environment and our residents and everything, and we're going to let you talk about this. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
that.
so much. Thank you, everyone. I wanna thank everyone here for making this possible. Here in Punta Gorda, residents understand what it means to face powerful storms, flooding, and other extreme weather events, and how they impact our economy, our environment, and our way of life. We also we also know a strength of these communities, neighbors helping other neighbors, and people who care deeply about protecting our home. Florida Climate Week will be happening from October 6th to the 12th, and it's about coming together to learn, engage, and act. Across our state, local leaders, nonprofits, and residents are sharing ways to strengthen preparedness, safeguard our natural resources, and build a more secure and prosperous future for all Floridians. I want to thank the City of Punta Gorda for its leadership and commitment to stewardship and community well-being. When we work together to protect our waters, our land, and our people, we just not build resilience, but we also building hope. I invite everybody to take part of the Florida Climate Week by joining local and virtual events throughout the state. You can learn more and get involved at floridaclimateweek.org, and together we can build a stronger, safer, and more united Florida for future generations to come. Thank you, everyone.
Is Ava Lassiter here? Ava Lassiter is the Mangrove Chapter President from the Florida Native Plant Society. Good morning. Whereas Florida's natural resources are a significant contributor to our economy and quality of life, and Florida's native plants provide both economic and ecological benefits. And whereas native plants and their relationships with insects and other arthropods create the biological foundation for all ecosystems and life on Earth. And whereas Florida is one of the most biodiverse states in the United States, yet has one of the highest numbers of threatened and endangered native plants due to habitat destruction and degradation. And whereas because the City of Punta Gorda is experiencing unprecedented population growth, the need for the protection of native plants and habitats has never been greater. And whereas October is a spectacular time to view native plants in bloom in the many City of Punta Gorda parks such as Alligator Creek Park and Treview Park, and whereas in addition to parks, native plants add beauty and sustainability to homes. Therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida does hereby proclaim the month of October 2025 as Florida Native Plant Month. And all citizens, businesses, local governments, and others are encouraged to plant native and protect native habitats and the ecosystems upon which we depend. Passed and duly adopted this 8th day of October 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you to the City of Punta Gorda for recognizing October 2025 as Florida Native Plant Month. I'm Ava Lassiter, the president of the Mangrove Chapter of the Florida Native Plant Society. The Society is a statewide organization with about 30 chapters, and our mission is to champion Florida's native plants and their habitats. Our chapter encompasses Charlotte and the southern parts of Sarasota counties. Proclaiming Florida Native Plant Month helps to create an awareness in which local governing bodies consider the impact of their plans and decisions on native plants and the ecological systems that our community needs to thrive. I invite you all to consider, how are native plants being protected in Punta Gorda? Are native plants rather than non-native exotic plants being installed in landscapes owned and operated by Punta Gorda? How do future development projects in Punta Gorda impact native plants and the overall sustainability of our community? We invite you to consider our local chapter and our state organization more broadly as a native plant resource. We're here to help you learn about the many economic and ecological benefits of native plants. Our organization, even though small, has a grant program for local groups to purchase native plants up to $500 for public spaces, such as the public spaces around a church, HOAs for neighborhoods, the entryways of HOAs, etc. All of our programs are free and open to the public, and we host monthly speakers in Sarasota County at Lemon Bay Park. We lead field trips, and we organize an annual Plant Native Day in March. The bottom line is that we and the ecosystem that supports us cannot live without native plants. And I thank you for your time.
It's the sticky in the picture. We're going to do service awards next.
Ron?
I have Suze Russell with us. She's been with the city of Punta Gorda for 30 years. I wasn't quite expecting such an audience today, because as you know, there is so there's not enough words that can express how we feel about you, but you know, I did try. Let me see what I got here. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll make it short. Today we are incredibly proud to celebrate one of the most beloved city employees, Suze, on her 30th anniversary in the city of Punta Gorda. When I asked Suze for a bio, she provided some details, and I'll have to include a few, which also fill in the blanks as only colleagues can do. Believe it or not, Suze was born in California. She moved to Charlotte County with her family back in the 70s. Now, we're not going to give a year, because as we know, age is classified information when it comes to women. But she was 12 years old when she moved to Charlotte County. Suze began working with the city Suze has worked for the city for over 30 years ago in a position that might not even exist today, and was hired as a secretary, a title that seems like a relic in today's political landscape. She spent her entire career with the building department, where her role has evolved over the years, from secretary to administrative assistant, and eventually her current position as a permit supervisor in licensing. This role was created by a former building official who, quite frankly, didn't want to have to deal with the permit techs anymore, so he wisely made Suze in charge of them. Over the years, Suze has worked for 5 building officials. She's expressed admiration for all construction knowledge each one of us brought to the table, but has also confessed, and I quote, that making them come around to my way of thinking has been exhausting. Spoken like a true leader. Suze's dedication doesn't stop in the city limits. She is one of the city's employees selected to assist Long Beach in Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina, a testament of her skill, compassion, and commitment to service. On a lighter role, Suze is a woman of great taste. She loves comedy movies, good barbecue, low humidity days, but honestly, who doesn't? She also is a huge fan of Comic-Con enthusiast and loves everything to do with Marvel. Now, come on, you know I had to let them know, right? As for things that she's not fond of, the list includes ability challenged drivers, which she did not say that so nicely, humidity, and Navaline, which we're not going to talk about right now. Now that you know a bit about Suze, let me just say she is simply extraordinary. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, all you people watching me. She's faced life challenges with resilience, strength, and a sense of humor that keeps all of us grounded. I've only been with the city for about 1.5 years, and I can say without hesitation that I could not have made it without her guidance and support. Through suffering, through staffing changes, daily hurdles, and more than a few hurricanes, Suze has been the rock. Every single person in the building department depends on her, whether it's just to bounce ideas off of, to seek advice, or simply share a joke with. So today we honor Suze, not just for her 30 years of service, but for the difference she makes every single day. Please don't forget how much you're loved, Suze.
Thank you so much, and I gotta say, I have thoroughly enjoyed working with all the contractors and citizens in the city of Punta Gorda. Great bunch of people, thank you.
Good morning, citizens and residents and council. This morning, we recognize Matt Keeney for his 15 years of service with the city of Punta Gorda and the water treatment plant. Matt started back in May of 2010 as an unpaid intern, putting in over 350 hours of work while attending the Sarasota County Technical Institute's Water Operations Program. That's where I actually first met Matt, and he's the one that invited me to come and intern at the city's water plant. And I thank you for that, Matt. Matt was hired as a part-time trainee that September, and then brought on full-time in November of 2010. Matt's worked his way up from intern to trainee to Class C license, then Class B, all the way to earning his Class A water treatment license, which is the highest you can achieve in the field. Over the year, Matt has put in his share of long hours, early mornings, late nights, and more than a few challenging shifts. Matt's dedication and hard work have brought him to where he is today. Matt now serves as our bacteriological and compliance laboratory technician, responsible for the sampling and reporting that keeps our drinking water safe and compliant. Matt is dependable, easygoing, and just gets things done, doing solid work day after day. Matt, congratulations on your 15 years of service. We truly appreciate your hard work, your loyalty, and everything you've done for the department and the city of Punta Gorda.
I want to thank my family, my coworkers, everyone who's stood behind me and helped push me throughout the years, and thank you.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for your service. Okay, this section is going to be public input, but the first one is going to be anybody wishing to nominate themselves for a board or committee. And so anybody here who wants to apply for a board or committee. Second time, board or committee? One last time for a board or committee. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, this part of the public input, just anyone wishing to address the council on any matter may do so. Please state your name for the record, and each person will be allowed 3 minutes to talk. We're going to ask that there isn't any vulgarity. Please be kind. This is our city. Try not to repeat. If you've heard somebody say something, maybe we'll ask for a show of hands or something like that. So it keeps us moving a little bit quicker today. But please, you have freedom to come up and say something. So please come up to the podium here.
Hello. Hang on. Yeah, turn around.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Terry Dotson, and I'm a musician. This last Saturday, I was playing at the farmer's market downtown. And everybody was having a good time until someone showed up and decided to start preaching. Now, some might call it preaching, but you would never hear the words he was saying said in a house of worship like this. I could not disagree more with what he was saying. However, I agree that he had the right to say it. What he did not have the right to do was say it with a megaphone, so loud that you could hear it over a block away. These vendors spend a lot of money to come here to entertain people, to get goods and services and that sort of thing. I play to entertain people, but they couldn't hear. They left. People kept coming up to me saying, "I'm sorry, I can't take this, I'm leaving." The vendors were upset. They're trying to make money, yet they couldn't talk with their customers. People come up to me and said, "Why don't you turn up your PA system? Why don't you drown him out?" That defeats the purpose. The reason I'm there is to entertain the folks while the vendors still carry on commerce. If I turn up my PA system, they can't. They still can't, do business. So everybody kept coming up to me and asking me, why is he allowed to do this? And I'm sorry, I didn't have an answer for them. So I'm going to ask you, why is he allowed to do this? The police came. I'm sure they probably told him to turn it down. I don't think the cop car got around the corner before he cranked it right back up again. I want to thank everyone for, I'll yield the rest of my time. I want to thank you for allowing me to come and bring this to your attention. Thank you.
Bruce Olmsted. I am a combat veteran of Vietnam, and I want to let you know what that helicopter means to me from my experience. Go ahead. I'm just a grunt giving my point of view. In a second, I'll give it. There we go. Originally, we come out with Cobras. It's a little bit later. That's what's life-saving. Could you start it from the beginning, please? It'd be a little bit easier. My notes. Okay, thank you. Cobras, mobile air power. They provided life-saving resupply once every 3 days. Life-saving water, clean clothes, mail from home, combat extractions. Smoky 500 provides cover for those coming in and out of combat missions, providing life-saving opportunities. Combat assaults, more smoke for cover. M60 machine guns to cover us for rake of fire so that we're safe, giving us time to find a safe location after jumping out of the helicopter. As you can see, it wasn't just one, it was a mass of helicopters that would save us and also bring us into heck. In a minute, we're going to see the back of a head of a helicopter pilot named Michael Richard Pickles. He's a chief warrant officer. Killed in action on 27 April 1970. It's on the wall, panel 11, line 60. He piloted my platoon and I on many missions. He is one of over 17,000 helicopter pilots on that wall. Many of those on the wall took their last ride alive on those choppers. As an infantryman or a grunt who has witnessed life, suffering, and death in Vietnam, the chopper is a symbol of life, or the wall is a symbol of death. Thank you.
My name is Sam Taylor. I too am a Vietnam vet. My relationship to the Huey is one in a remote capacity. Stationed in Saigon, my billeting was off base, so in order to get to my job, I had to go past the 3rd Army Field Hospital. On that path were the helicopter pads, and on a regular basis, I would watch the Huey come in, litters tied to their skids, of soldiers who fell into bungee pits, who had swinging tree arms, piercing into their bodies, not just the bullets that were there. For these helicopters to bring them in, it probably saved many, many a life, because the Vietnamese used to put all kinds of feces and everything else on these bungee sticks, and the infections were very hard to treat if they waited too long. I wish to repeat also what Bruce said. There are 17,000 names plus names on that wall of helicopter pilots and their crews. They gave their lives, but they also probably brought in many of those whose name are on the wall to try to save those lives. We need a Huey at the wall.
Good morning. My name is Alfred J. Koloje. I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1969. I was married at 19, and while I was sent to Vietnam, I had a little daughter. So here I was, 20 years old, in Vietnam, where I didn't want to be after 3 years in the Marine Corps, but it was my duty. I served on Benoit Air Base, which was an air base for A-4s and Phantoms. I was an avionics technician. I fixed everything that went wire with. I saw helicopters. There were 2 squadrons of helicopters on my base, and they were up and down day and night. They also protected us that were on that base, the whole perimeter from being invaded, but we got hit quite a few times. To me, that wall and that helicopter belonged like a mother and daughter. I thank you.
Steve Cornwell, U.S. Air Force, 1972 to 76. And for me that grew up watching it on TV and then going to serve, there is no more iconic emblem or whatever of Vietnam than the helicopter. It really changed the face of warfare, saved a lot of lives, and there was always a plan to have a Huey at the wall. It was abandoned early on so we could come up with the funds to do the wall, and now we'd like to add that for something that was always intended to be there. Thank you.
Barry Bartinsky, also U.S. Air Force, 72 to 76. I had the opportunity to fly in a Huey from Osan, Korea to Kunsan, Korea. It was after the war, yeah, but that helicopter was awesome. It would also be a great photo op for anybody visiting the wall. I am also a member of the American Legion Post 113 out of Rotunda West, and we have an Abrams A-1 tank. Why not have a helicopter at our wall? Thank you.
My name is J.D. Young. I'm the Vice President of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1037. If you'll indulge me for a second, I'm going to turn my volume up and just play a quick audio for you here. That's all I want to put out there right now. You can see what that does to us. That's a sound we'll never forget, especially if you've ridden in one. I've heard sad tales of people triggered by this whole presentation, that it's going to trigger their PTSD or whatever. I hope they don't live in Charlotte County. Charlotte County themselves has a Huey that they use for mosquito control, and I'm sure anybody who lives around here has heard it late in the evening. That's that same sound, and it causes a reaction to a lot of people. This is a static display that we're proposing to have. It's silent. It speaks loudly, but it's silent. I'm hoping we can get it, and if so, install it on a pillar so that it's above tampering or tagging or anything like that, because I see that as one of the excuses to not have it, and that's no good. Every year, that audio was from a video that I took. We call it Kokomo, Indiana. Every year, the Howard County Vietnam veterans have an annual reunion in September, every year up there. It's like 40,000 Vietnam veterans. It started out 30 or so years ago, everybody was in a tent. As it's progressed, and we've decreased, now everybody's in a camper or motorhome or at the hotel. But it's a whole weekend of camaraderie that is attended by a group who flies helicopters. And people pay $100, $150. We used to get paid to ride those helicopters. Now guys are willing to pay to ride that helicopter. It means that much to us. And this, at our ball, would mean just as much. Thank you.
Good morning to the council, to Mayor Lux. My name is James Ayers. I'm a Punta Gorda resident. What did that Huey helicopter bring back to this country? It brought me back. A Bachelor of Science, a Master's in Public Administration, a Juris Doctorate, and 31 years as an attorney defending people and helping people. If it wasn't for that helicopter, this United States Marine would not have been back in this country to survive. It has a distinctive sound. You had a distinctive sound here with 7 of us speaking, all different voices, but the Huey had one voice. My minor on my bachelor's degree was in psychology. I've worked for PTSD groups. We've talked about it. That Huey helicopter has a very cathartic effect. I've seen people touch it. I've seen them cry. I've seen their families. Every third Friday, we clean that wall with devotion. We want that Huey there as the second half. Al Collier very proudly said it. It's like the mother and the child. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you agree with us.
Anyone want to follow that? Okay, this is the second time anyone wishing to address the council.
I'll admit I don't want to follow that, but my name's Bill Page, and I'm a resident of Punta Gorda. A strong community depends on maintaining a healthy balance between 3 pillars: our citizens, the city, and the commercial sector. To that end, I have been actively working with a group of Punta Gorda small business owners for more than 18 months. The common thread among these businesses is that they're local, independently owned, and working hard to recover from both hurricane damage and the seasonal swings that challenge our market. Over this time, the group has grown from about 5 active members to more than 40 today. With this group growth has come a real sense of achievement, excitement, collaboration, as members work together for the good of all the businesses and for the city as a whole. One of the group's key goals going forward is to reestablish Punta Gorda as a strong presence in the regional festival market. The challenge, however, is that these small businesses are limited in finances and staffing resources. I would like to offer 2 proposals for the City Council to consider. The first one is to waive events for 2 years. Now this, I'm not talking about excluding expenses incurred by the city for police and fire. Instead, think of this waiver as an investment or seed funding for the city to help revive our local festivals. The financial impact for the city would be minimal, but the return in community engagement and long-term business stability could be substantial. The second proposal, simplify and streamline the event permit package. The current permit process is lengthy and difficult for small business owners to navigate. I suggest breaking the single complex package into several smaller ones tailored for different types of events. This would make the process more manageable and encourage greater participation. As a comparison, the homecoming parade application is 3 pages, while the premier auto auction, a multi-day event, is only 19 pages. A reasonable middle ground would be somewhere around 10 pages, depending on the size and nature of the event. In summary, I propose that the city waive the permit fees for 2 years and streamline the permitting process to make it more accessible and manageable for local businesses. Thank you.
Later
on in the meeting, I was going to be asking during my comments if our city council would consider holding a workshop on this. It would be, I believe, our December 2nd. I'd like you to go through the event manual, understand what all the costs are involved on the city side for actually getting ready for those events, and also look at streamlining what we need in there and what we don't need in there. So with your permission, we would do this as a workshop.
Awesome.
Is that okay? They certainly will be, everyone's invited to attend, absolutely.
Great.
That was December 2nd?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to say? This is your time to talk now if you want to talk about any of the subjects on the regular agenda.
Good morning. My name is Joe Camerano. I apologize. I'm having some allergies, but I want to discuss item, I believe it's 6C on the agenda, which is the boat canopies or covers for boats in the canal system. I'm here representing a pretty large number of individuals that I believe filled out surveys, and I hope when the discussion makes it on the canopies at the topic today, those surveys are discussed. Many of us moved to Punta Gorda because we are a deed-restricted community, and I looked all the way down, starting in Marco, all the way up to Sarasota, and I fell in love with this community because of our canal system and the lack of obstructions in the canals. When you come down the canals, all you see is boats and beautiful homes and landscaping and horticulture, not tattered old canopies. And I just hope that you take into account the many of us that do not want to obstruct our views or obstruct our neighbors' views with allowing canopy covers in the canal system. I am a boater. I do have a boat with a canopy in the Midwest on a lake. And yes, I like it there, but it doesn't obstruct my view, and it doesn't obstruct my neighbor's view. It's very controlled by the park district there. They won't allow you to put your boat on your lift if your canopy is not in impeccable condition. And I just don't know, in the event this is approved, how the city will be able to monitor that to make sure all of these canopies are in good repair and removed during hurricane season. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name's Chuck Lewis. I live in Punta Gorda Isles. I am a boater. I live on a canal. I think our inlet is called the Pompano Inlet. I am not in favor of the canopy to be allowed in Punta Gorda. When I can go to other places, i.e. Charlotte Harbor, for everyone that's nice, there's at least 3 that are in some sort of physical decay. Either the top is off of it, the frame is mangled, or it's just laid in the water. So it is completely done from the elements of the storms and what we currently live in. I have found that putting newer style finishes on the boat protects the finish of the boat better than some of the old style waxes, and you don't have to do it as much. So that also is an added feature for the boats. So if you take care of your boat and you cover it and you put the finishes on it that are for the environment that we live in, I think that that would be more than enough. I don't think the canopy is the answer, because I think as pretty as it looks when it's initially done, eventually it'll be a problem. Because in Punta Gorda, when you have a storm, it's not that the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour, it's what the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour. And a lot of that stuff comes off of those boat ramps, and next thing you know, it's in your neighbors, it's anywhere else, it's anywhere it's supposed to be other than covering your boat. So, thank you very much for your time.
Jeff Zemer, Burnt Shore Isles. My wife's not here. She's having some outpatient surgeries, or she'd be the one talking, not me. We have been here since before Charlie. And after Charlie, Alligator Creek, because we live in Burnt Shore Isles, was just covered with canopies. It was terrible, besides all the other trash. We bought here because we like the way the canals look. They're open, they're clean, they're fresh. I'm afraid, especially the people that go up north after season, who will not take care of them. Who's gonna, I know that I've heard that people are gonna have a contractor to take care of them, but I don't think that's gonna really happen. I have a boat behind my house. I've had it for 10 years with no problem, with no canopy. I just pay to have it buffed and waxed every, year. And I really don't, and one other point that actually she made, it is gonna make the blind turns even worse. So I definitely am against that, and I don't want this to look like a trailer park. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom Fisher. I live on a canal here in Punta Gorda, and I'm a hard no on the canopies as well. I know the rules when I got here. I want them to stay the same. I don't see any reason to change it. We've had boats all our lives, never had canopies. A little wax, a little elbow grease. It's a maintenance hobby. Thanks.
Hi, good morning. Kathleen Davis, Punta Gorda Isles. I'm also a hard no on the canopies. We have a little boat, and we have a cover for the little boat, and it's a lot of trouble. Every time we come in, my husband hoses it off, and he waits a bit, then he puts the cover on to protect it from the sun. It's survived very well. We're very happy about it. We like pottering around. Some of the things I agree with everybody else on is the unsightliness and the fact that we bought our house with the deed restrictions, and most people did, and we're happy with the deed restrictions. We're not happy with the sign ordinance change, actually. I like the little teeny signs, and then when they had to make the bigger signs, I don't like that, but that's by the way. Three of the things that happened to us that make me even more fear the boat canopies, besides the unsightliness and the block in the corners and so on, because we have to be careful. Our boat is small. If we go out and something really big is coming, we might have a problem. When I was a little baby, we had Hurricane Janet, and I don't know if the canopies would have to be canvas, or if they would be allowed to have any kind of metal. Because when I was a little baby, a man went out during Hurricane Janet, and in the islands in the Caribbean where I grew up, and he was decapitated by a flying canopy that was made of some sort of galvanized or aluminum. I'm not sure which. The second thing that happened was during Hurricane Andrew in Miami, a tiny little shingle, flexible shingle from a roof, was airborne. We had one window in our new room that was not shuttered. That tiny little shingle smashed the window, went through the room, smashed the light over the ceiling fan, and then did not smash the mirror of a dresser that we still have. And then the last thing that happened during Hurricane Ian, there are lots of other things that happened, but our dock and our neighbor's boat were hit by a flying boat from one of the boat lifts, not a canopy, way down the canal. And it was wedged between our dock and our neighbor's boat. So when hurricanes happen, I don't like flying debris. People don't take care of stuff all the time. We do, but we cannot rely on everybody to maintain their canopies properly, to take them down during a hurricane, and to fix them when they get all messed up. So I'm a hard no, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Robert Larnard. I live in Burnstore Isles. I'm a boat owner, and I'm also a classic car owner. And I've been here for about 4 years, and I know there's a lot of classic cars and antique cars in the neighborhood. The reason you don't see them in the driveways is because they're in the garage. The reason they're in the garage is because they want to protect them. And as a boat owner, we should have the right to protect our boats as well. I live on Palermo Drive, which is at the end of the Rim Canal. So when I go out, it takes me 40 minutes. So I get to see a lot of the properties, I get to see a lot of the boats. I think you're talking about a small percentage that's gonna go for getting these canopies. I don't know the percentage of boats that don't get used. You guys did a great job widening the pass there, the lock, and to be honest with you, I've never seen more than one boat go through there at a time. A lot of boats aren't used, and I think you're talking about boaters with expensive boats that probably want to protect their investment, just like an antique or classic car. So I would ask you to please allow these boaters to protect their investments. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Do I have to speak into this for everybody? I don't need the mic. I've been working on this for about 8 months. I'd like to say thank you to Chris.
State your name.
What's that? David Elkins. I live at 3530 DeLuca. By the way, when you promise free drinks at the Riviera, you get a big crowd. I want to thank Chris Dykes, who helped me with this project. I am a boater. We knew that this would be difficult. I Googled this morning, about 5:30. Punta Gorda is top 5 in the age demographic in the state of Florida. So the average age is 66, which I am. That means that over half the population is over 66. The boat canopies will allow our older boaters to hopefully hang on to their boats longer. I almost think it's almost discriminatory that we don't allow it, because the boat owner who is older maybe can't wax their boat. I want to know what that wax is, by the way, you use. But anyway, the older boat owner gets tired of taking care of their boats. There's someone in the audience here who owns Dockside Detail. He's making a lot of money because we have to have our boats constantly taken care of. So the canopy regulation that we are proposing, that you will see in the presentation later on, will be the most restrictive in the state. It'll be way above the county and state code. Size, it'll meet all DEP regulations, it'll meet all Coast Guard regulations, canal regulations. We want one color. We don't want it to look like a circus. We want a limit of 34 feet. We want to have a limit on the width, no side curtains, no front curtains. If you see the presentation later on, you will see boats that have canvas on them that look like pajamas, and they block the view way worse than a canopy. The doom and gloom, we have facts from insurance companies that say they have had no claims on canopies coming off. The new canopies are made of aluminum. You have a sample of the cloth that we will use. They will all be new. The permit application, the revenue from the permits, will more than cover if we need a separate code enforcement officer. Marco Island, many other places have all changed the other way to allow canopies. We're one of very few communities that does not allow them. We're Boaters Paradise. You look at every real estate ad there is on YouTube. Boaters Paradise. Florida's harborside city. You want boaters to come here and spend $2 million in a house and have a $500,000 boat. They want to protect it. There are people in this room that I have spoken with who almost didn't move here because of we don't allow the canopies. Probably more the other way. We have statements from realtors who say that will enhance property values. I think I'm going to finish that. Please see the presentation that Chris did. And there are also the opposite presentation. I think you'll appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Teresa Russell. I am for the boat covers. Boats are so expensive right now. We want to protect our investment. We just drove to Fort Myers Beach the other day and saw the canals as we're driving past, and there are boat covers there. There are regulations that you can include in the city ordinance that make it so that our boat covers are nice. You know, comparing us to Port Charlotte, we've never been like Port Charlotte, and it's because we make that happen, right? So I also want to state that our boats are parallel to our lots. So we're looking at our own boats. So if you have your own boat, you can choose whether or not to have a canvas over it or not, and that's what you're looking at. We don't worry about our neighbors. Our neighbors all look nice here in Punta Gorda. So that's where I stand. I agree with the two gentlemen prior to me, and thank you for your time.
Good morning. Mark Janis. I live in the bird section. I talked to Mark Storm, who's the supervisor of the canal maintenance. He sent me an email. I have a copy here. What is the increased cost to canal maintenance with seawalls if they have to deal with canopies? And he said the height restrictions and other things are going to be a real negative to canal maintenance. And it'll cause construction issues. It's going to drive up the cost of seawall maintenance. And who's going to bear the cost of that? I've all sent you an email with a picture of a close friend of mine that was coming out of South Cove Marina, picked up a canopy in their canal because somebody didn't take care of it, wrapped around his prop, stopped the engine. We had to get a sea tow back to the marina, hauled the boat out, $5,000 worth of damage. Transmission, motor mounts, cutlass bearing, prop, shaft. Do we need that in our canals? And the question is, once those canopies come off, potentially, in a hurricane or a storm, who's responsible for clearing out the canals if that stuff lands in the canals? Is it the city? Is it the owner? But the owner doesn't have a name on it. How do we know it belongs to a particular person? It's his responsibility. After the last couple of hurricanes, the city had a heck of a time with cleanup, much less adding the stuff we have to add to the canals and the navigation problems. Does the city want that added expense? And with the added permitting costs, sure. Are we going to have enough money to hire more people? I doubt it. We can't handle the permitting and the inspections we have now. In some cases, it takes up to 3 weeks just to get an inspection. How are they going to do that after a hurricane? So I rest my case. We don't need canopies, and I'm against it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to come up? Okay, second call. Okay, last chance. Okay. We do not have any public hearings or ordinance resolutions, so we're going to go ahead and move to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything to pull? Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve consent agenda.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now to the regular agenda. We're going to be talking about the interlocal agreement with the Vietnam Memorial Wall. General? Not yet.
Good morning, Council. Rick Lemkel, Urban Design. So this agreement outlines the terms and responsibilities related to the proposed installation of the Huey helicopter display at Veterans Park. All questions and concerns previously raised by Council regarding the project responsibilities, maintenance, and liability have been addressed within this agreement. Staff is requesting your direction.
Greg.
I just want to bring up a couple questions that came from a resident that is opposed, but he realized that it's inevitable, most likely, that we will have the helicopter there. He's concerned that he's seen helicopters that don't have doors on them, and so that avails access for people climbing in them and so forth. Can we verify that this one will have the doors?
So that assurance is in Part 3 of the responsibilities of the Southwest Florida Memorial Group. So that's inside of the security of the aircraft, where VMWSF shall ensure all doors, hatches, and access points will be secured except for special events when they will open it up. They like to open it up to veterans or anyone that wants to remember or.
Yeah, I'm just simply asking that on behalf of the resident. And
so the assurance is that they will be secured.
Second question, part of his question was the longevity of the maintenance with the veterans aging. Eventually, he's concerned that there won't be anybody left to maintain it.
This agreement is in perpetuity as long as the WSF is organized. I imagine that they will stay organized for a significant amount of time as our veterans start to move on and pass, but the organization still shall remain in place. Correct. No different than any of the other organizations that we have, Daughters with the American Revolution, Daughters of the Confederacy, and other organizations similar to that. If you'd like more assurances, I imagine Stacy Jones or General Carr can speak to that, but
yeah, no, I think that answers the question. I hope it satisfies the residents' concerns. I told him I would ask those questions on his behalf.
Mayor? Right. The only other question that I had too, which a couple residents brought up, is there going to be a tickler in the file that like every year, if an insurance company, if their insurance needs to be renewed, is it looked at by staff every year just to make sure that the insurance is being kept on whatever they're required to be kept on?
Courtney Buckles will have the answer to that, but yes, that's in portion 4, which talks about insurance, and then 13, which talks about indemnification.
Right.
Courtney?
Good morning, Courtney Buckles, Risk Coordinator. That is correct. The certificate of insurance would be provided to the city, and the city would be responsible for maintaining that information.
Perfect. Ready?
Anybody else have any questions? Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve 6A interlocal agreement between Vietnam Memorial Wall of Southwest Florida, Inc., 501c3, not-for-profit, and the city of Punta Gorda, Florida.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Well done.
General Carr wanted to say something.
Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, the vice president of the Vietnam Wall of Southwest Florida Corporation, may I introduce Stacy Jones, who is intimately involved in veterans affairs all over this area. And I'd also like to introduce Gus Hawkins, who I told him not to go skiing when there was no snow, but he doesn't listen well. He bought the Huey that now sits at the museum. And I don't own a boat, but thank you for giving us the opportunity to own a Huey. And the main reason I introduced these two is because beginning November 3rd, I'll be gone for most of November to Vietnam and Cambodia, taking my daughter back and showing her the war.
Thank you for your service. Next on the agenda, we're going to actually move it around a little bit. We're going to talk about the employee survey. You didn't want to do the nature parks? Oh, you can do that. You know, we're going to, if it's okay, Brad, we're going to do the nature park because we have residents here for that too. Can we do that really quick, the nature park? Okay.
Good morning, Danielle Burhell, Urban Design. I'm going to introduce the ladies who take care of the nature park. This is Joyce Laubeck. She's the president of the PGI Green Thumbs. And Bren Curtis is the president of the Peace River Audubon Society. Oh, hang on. We're getting the right one up there.
Thank you for this opportunity to come and seek your approval for an infographic sign that will further enhance the beauty and the impact to the community of the Punta Gorda Nature Park. As Danielle said, I represent the PGI Green Thumbs, the all-volunteer nonprofit organization that has maintained the park since 2012. And we have the privilege, if someone would advance the slide. We have the privilege of teaming with another organization whose purpose is totally synergistic with what we attempt to do, which is both to improve the environment in our community, to enhance the beauty of the environment in our community, and to educate the public. It is interesting and gratifying to me to know that two of the proclamations honored today, the Water Quality Group and the Native Plant Society, we are all representative of even more organizations, mostly nonprofit volunteer organizations that provide a wealth of benefits to our community. So I just want to acknowledge that and also say the PGI Green Thumbs were the recipients of one of the grants from the Native Plant Society a couple of years ago for our Serenity Garden. So the Peace River Audubon Society happens to have two of their board members who are also volunteers with the Green Thumbs, and they identified that we had some open space in the park, and that represented an opportunity to add another planting bed in the pathways that people visit when they come to the park. Go ahead. This is a representation of the park from an aerial view. So just to orient you to the space that we're talking about today, first of all, for orientation, in the upper left corner is the intersection of Akia Sta and Bal Harbor Boulevard. That's what we call the west side of Nature Park. Then if you look to the far right side, you see a yellow arrow that is pointing to the Plants for Birds new planting bed. That is the subject, is the location where we're requesting permission to add the sign. It's on the east side of the park. Much of the park is all native currently, and you see the nature trails that traverse. So we hope those of you who may not have visited the park will come there because it's free and open to the public, and you can bring dogs there and take a walk. There are bikers and hikers that walk through the park. But we're talking about that upper right quadrant, and it runs along a Kia style. So earlier this year, we had this opportunity to get this grant. It was actually made possible originally by FPL. They have a nonprofit foundation that provides community support, and Audubon has a long-standing relationship with FPL and has previously received grants. And when they identified this opportunity in Nature Park, we teamed together very closely because already on the east side of the park, all the 90% of the plants are native to Florida, 100% are Florida-friendly plants, and we believe that education is a very important part. So it's not just the emotional gratification and the physical exercise that people get from visiting the park, but it is the model that the park represents to people of how they can model their own landscape and environment to further enhance our community. So education is right up there as one of our top goals, and that's something that we share with the Audubon Society. So their expertise helped us to identify specific native plants that provide very appropriate habitat for birds and for all of the insects and other wildlife that provide part of the larger ecosystem that's required for the health of our environment overall. So we teamed with them, and that's how we chose the plants that became part. In the upper right quadrant of the diagram here, you see the outline of the park. It's sort of, we call it our peanut. It's a peanut-shaped bed that has plants now in an immature state, but in the future years will only grow and thrive with the loving care of our PGI green thumbs who come and work in the park, mostly on Friday mornings. If you ever want to stop by and talk to any of us, we welcome you to come and ask us any questions. But in addition, we can't be there all the time to answer your questions, so a certain amount of signage, tastefully and appropriately placed in the park, provides that information to the public when we're unable to be there to answer their questions. And I emphasize the tasteful and appropriate. We already have a very comparable sign to the one we're proposing for the bird garden on the west side of the park, and it's the life cycle of the butterfly. So it's a weather-resistant, durable sign, which Bren will talk about a little more specifically. And so we're very grateful for the money that we got that enabled us to open up this area and provide more information for the public. So this is a rendering. I know it's too small for you to see any of the detail, and Bren will talk about how this sign was designed and how we plan to execute on it.
Okay. I'm not sure if you are very familiar. I'm Bryn Curtis, president of the Peace River Audubon, and I just wanted to let you know that we've been in the community since 1977. We were one of the founders of the Charlotte Harbor Environmental Center, and we've continued that collaboration to the present time. We also have a lot of conservation campaigns for species that are affected in Charlotte County. We are specifically concerned with the shorebirds, and we do shorebird nesting surveys. We also do we've worked with purple martins in installing the gourd arrays, and we work with other conservancies to purchase land and habitat to save for the Florida scrub jay and the burrowing owls. There's a little community that's we've been working with in the Meadow Villas, and we now have 5 lots there where we're protecting the burrows from for the burrowing owls there. So one of the other thing that we do is try to educate people about native plants and the ecology. And so that's what this sign is doing. I'm not sure if you, well, part of it is, did you know that 3 billion birds have vanished in the land since 1970 in North America, and there are another 40% of the insects that are threatened in the next few decades in our county. So this is what we're trying to do, is to educate people that, especially when we have so many people moving to Florida, the backyards tend to be sodded and have commercial plants that are not native. And so I've included these to the council members. This is an FWC, Planting a Refuge for Wildlife. And Doug Tellamy has inspired a lot of people to put native plants in their backyards to restore the ecology that has evolved over the life on Earth. And so the ecology is, there's another brochure funded by the same grant that we developed for kids to help educate them on how the whole ecology works. That when you disturb the soil by putting the sand to heighten the property for flooding, which is done by a lot of residents when they're building a new place. So what happens is that sand that goes in there or the fill is usually not native and enriched, had the normal ecological processes to keep on occurring. So as we have built up with development, we are losing a lot of the critters that live in the soil. So the soil gets disturbed. The plants that come in aren't host to the native insects. And so the whole ecology, when we put in lawns and commercial plants, gets disturbed. And Doug Tellamy has been trying to bring nature back into our backyards. He has, in fact, he's doing a webinar next Thursday. If you go to our website, you can listen to it. It's free, but it's restoring nature to the backyards. That's part of the reason we've lost a lot of the populations of birds. And so this sign educates people when they come to the park. They can read about it and know how you can bring back birds to your yards just by providing housing, water, and native plants. So that's what the sign we would like to do with the sign is as an educational piece. And in addition, we've also got a QR code that you can see on the left bottom there. There is a plaque in the garden itself where you can just take your phone out, hit the QR code, and it'll take it to the website. And so you'll know all those plants that are in that garden bed and how the relationship they have to birds and insects. And so it provides additional information that would take too long to glance at a sign and read for 5 minutes. So that's why we would like the sign there. And thank you very much for listening. I think the next, you can see what the sign will look like. And then also, lastly, I don't have it, I thought I had to put it in here. But you wanted a location of the sign, and that's in a picture that I put out at your, for you to look at.
Yeah, I would say it, just to be more specific, the sign will be within the planting bed we're calling Plants for Birds, and it will be oriented away from the street towards the trail, so most of the visitors to the park would have the best vantage point for the sign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Questions?
No questions.
Do you have a motion?
I move to approve 6A for the nature park sign.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Thank you. This is beautiful what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll go in place, already. So for the people who are here for the boat canopies, we just have our staff that needs to get to another meeting. That's why we're moving it forward really quick. So we want to make sure that we spend enough time for our boat canopy people. Okay?
Good morning, Jeff Payne, HR Manager. I've got a very short PowerPoint to show. Can we bring that up? So it's just 3 slides. So you see here on the first slide some of the things that got the lowest scores from our employees on our survey, right? Pay raises depend on how well employees perform their job. In my department, differences in performance are recognized in a meaningful way. Do you feel valued and appreciated? My workload is reasonable, et cetera, right? And so in looking at these at a department level and a gender level, those scored the lowest regardless of the department or the gender. Okay, so everybody agrees that those were the lowest things, the poorest things that the city does. Oh, sorry, yes, I can hear the echo, but so just starting off with the lowest scores, right? So regardless of the department, regardless of the gender, everybody scored those things the lowest. And then if we go to the next slide, it's pretty much the same thing, right? So, and then if we go to the next slide, the things that the employees scored the highest. Once again, these scored the highest regardless of the department, regardless of the gender, right? The work I do is important. All city employees feel that their work is important. I know how my work relates to the city's goals and objectives, right? Everybody agrees that they know those things. I have trust and confidence in my supervisor. Another one that got scored highly, the people I work with cooperate to get the job done, right? So those are all good signs. Now we have put together an action plan based on these things, right? So we're going to review department goals and priorities on a regular basis with staff. We did get a few comments that they lack the tools and resources necessary to do the job properly. So we're going to follow up on that and find out what those tools and resources are that they lack. Communicate the city goals and priorities with the employees on a regular basis, right? So our city manager is going to address that. Better and more meaningful and more frequent performance evaluations, right, is going to be another key. So when you look at the overwhelming feedback that we got on this thing, it was all about performance evaluations and shouldn't those high performers get rewarded, right? So to do that, you've got to have accurate annual evaluations, right? You have to realize that not everybody can get the same pay raise and still recognize those high performers. So there's got to be some changes made in our annual evaluation process. Do they feel valued at work? Well, a couple of initiatives that we got going. The big one that's going to come to council at a later date is longevity pay, right? So we're looking at rewarding those loyal employees who have been with the city for a while, right? So the longer you stay, the little more money you get each year as your bonus, right? So we'll be bringing that back later. So each department's going to start looking into these things. We're going to do a follow-up with council in March, right? And just so I can share with you, I did look at this at a department level, and just using the average score, right? So those departments where the employees rated the city the highest, right? The city manager's department rated the city the highest. Next was our finance department, followed by the police department, our planning and zoning, code compliance, etc., all fall under the building, also under that umbrella. Public works, utility department, and then bringing up the rear is our fire department. All right, so fire department scored the lowest, but I will say they only had 10 employees who responded, and one of those scored really, really low, and that brought down their overall score, right? So if you've only got 10 people that respond, then it only takes one to bring the whole score down.
Can't hear you, Janice.
If there's, say, 300 employees or whatever, what was the percentage of response?
We got 123 responses.
Out of how
So
many?
it was roughly 35%.
Only 35%. Maybe any questions? Yeah, I think with all the things that Dr. Reichert is going to be doing, the story mapping, the changes to make sure that the people are valued, I'd like to see, I know the police department has a big maintenance schedule, or not a maintenance schedule, excuse me, a to-do, who's doing what, when. I think that if the departments that are necessary for that, maybe give them so that you can see who's doing what, when. It actually brings people ownership to what they're doing, to be proud to be here and stuff. But I really see with our city manager, you're going to be doing some great things.
Right. I'll reiterate things that I've said before. A lot of these things are operational. We valued your suggestions to have us do this survey. It was something that Jeff and I had actually talked about for quite some time as well. We will do follow-up surveys. We're moving towards all of the action items that Jeff has mentioned, and we'll be back to you with more information about how it's working out. And then anything that is a policy decision, of course, will come back to City Council.
We good? Anybody else? No? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Are you also doing the process for the city attorney?
I am. So just to jump right in, we posted in two different directions for city attorney. One was for applicants that we would hire as a city employee, and the other process went through our procurement department, where they sent out an RFP for firms to bid, okay? And that happened on April the 1st. And then it closed on April the 30th. So it's been 5 months ago that it closed.
On for 2 days?
Right. We had
Is it closed on April 30th?
five applicants for internal employee and one firm that responded to the RFP so that the firm could be under contract. And we're just coming to you today to find out how council wants to proceed, right? This is somebody that reports directly to council. This is your decision. So.
I'll start. I think that personally, I think we need to put it out again. I think it's been too long. It's been 5 months. Probably half the people are not interested or moved on. But I don't believe we should put it out unless, as a board, we are ready to make a decision. because then we're just doing that again and then keeping resumes. So unless we're ready to make a decision and move on, if we are, then I would be in favor of posting it again and going from there.
Janice Denton, I think the decision that we have to make before all of that is, do we want a full-time or a part-time? And that's something we have to discuss and determine. So we're asking for the right kind of applicants. There was only one that I saw that I wanted out of that group anyway, that I would consider personally.
I'd like us to have more time to talk about this and maybe consider having a workshop on this, because I think this is something that we do need to hash out, like what we feel is important and what we're looking for. And again, you know, internal, external, maybe even reaching out to these people, you know, if they have any changes. I think, didn't another municipality just hire a city attorney? Maybe we can talk to them about what their process was, you know, so that helps us to decide for ours as well.
Well, so we did reach out to those 5 that are still interested to be internal employees, and they are still interested.
Okay, fantastic. You know, and also, I'm sorry, Greg, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I agree that we need to have a conversation about whether we want a full-time or part-time or a firm versus an internal employee. My feeling is the firm is a better way to go, but we need to have that conversation.
Well, and that implies part-time, correct?
Not
Not necessarily. Well, okay, contract. I mean, there's a difference between having someone in-house or someone like Leskovich, Attorney Leskovich, who, you know, is helpful but isn't in-house. So to me, that's a part-time person.
Is it a 1099 or is it employee? That's the difference right there.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
So, I told you guys back in April when you asked me to fill in as your interim, I'll help in your process on how you guys go through this. There's pros and cons each way, from an attorney's perspective. In-house, you know, you have someone, of course, who's in the office, whatever it is, 40, 50 hours a week. On the con side of it, then you have potential contributions to the pension and insurance and everything else. Although my average is about 15 hours a week on average, it appears to be part-time. There's been times I've sent an email off to Dr. Reichert at 10 o'clock at night, responding to something she sends to me as well. So, pros and cons of a firm, a pro is it will be generally cheaper for you financially because they're covering their own insurance costs, their own malpractice, their own time. A con is that, you know, I don't show up at all of your workshops and some of your board, well, I show up at all your general meetings. I don't show up at some of your advisory board meetings. I showed up last night because I was asked to be there. So there's pros and cons each way that you guys will have to figure out. You know, from me, I've tried to be available to you guys as much as possible, but you'll have to figure out a financial component, and then you'll have to figure out a logistic component of how you want someone advising you guys.
I think that's why it's so important to have a workshop. And Mr. Leskovich, I want to say you've been doing a fantastic job and really appreciate everything that you've been doing for us.
Likewise.
So,
I think a workshop's in order, absolutely.
workshops are open to the public.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice to have the pros and cons of like Mr. Leskovich was saying, you know, the costs, you know, the hours and everything between a firm and a city employee, and, you know, that way we've got all the details of what we're really looking for. And Mr. Leskovich, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want me to reach out to some of these cities that I know of who have recently hired in-house and, as I call it, outsourced attorneys, I'll see if they can get me some of their information, or if Jeff needs to do it. Whichever way you guys want to do it. I mean, I'll be more than willing to help you guys out with it.
Be helpful.
Sounds good.
direction they've gone, not necessarily the process that they used, right? And it is common that they have done both, right? They hire as an employee a less experienced attorney, and then they have somebody who is very experienced that they have under contract to help out, so.
So you're saying they have two attorneys in that sort of a situation?
Well, some of them have far more than two.
Of course, but we're only 20,000 people.
Yes, yes.
One more question that I think you've said in the past that there's the salary, say it's 150, 200,000, whatever it is, plus it's 40% for all the benefits. Generally speaking, it's another 40%. Yeah.
Absolutely,
That's a big consideration.
Right, and so that's why they tend to hire less experienced, so it's a little less expensive or costly.
So consensus is to have a workshop, yes?
Yes.
I don't mind, but at the same time, I do wonder what council meetings are for. Because we have these on, we have this on, we have people here to have a discussion. I don't mind doing it, I just don't want to go down the route of every single thing we decide to do has to be a workshop, because we are here for a council meeting. That's my opinion.
Yep, and we're looking for more details from Jeff to continue and make an educated decision. So we have consensus. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, we will get that scheduled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take a 10-minute break real quick before we go to boat canopies?
No.
Oh, no. Okay, you want us to do boat canopies first and then take a break? Okay. If I get up and walk away, you guys will know why, right?
They just want to eat lunch.
Okay, boat canopies. Who's presenting? Yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right, great. Perfect, we're up and running. And which is the button to make it go?
15-minute time limit, remind them.
Sure. Okay, while he reads the boat canopy summary, I'm going to go use yours. Yes, thank you.
So the recommended action regarding boat canopies is city staff is requesting direction from council regarding next Chapter 6, City Code of Ordinances. Punta Gorda Boaters Coalition will make a presentation proposing the city allow boat canopies. And Mr. Richard Bevick, I said that correctly, will then make a presentation supporting the city's current prohibition on canopies. So just so you guys know, the way the code is written, there's two ways you can do it, either by ordinance, take two readings, or it can come by referendum on a ballot to be voted on by the city residents. Now it's up to you.
I'm sorry. You have 15 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And you have to be on the mic.
We have to remind you.
Mike, thank you.
And you got to state your name.
Hi, my name is Christopher Dykes, and I live in BSI, and we've been here about 10 years. My story, my background is that we moved here from Annapolis when we retired, and we came down to Punta Gorda, and we absolutely love the place. And for anybody who's wondering, I'm not getting paid anything for any of this. I'm just a guy that's one of the neighbors, and I had a boat, and I want to continue boating into my 70s and hopefully my 80s, God willing. So I'm kind of looking upon this as a way of helping me do that. So anyway, we'll go forward. Let's see. Make sure this thing's working. Is it forward? It's like stuck. Right now? button. Here, you want to try it? Oh, there we go. You can do it from there? Okay. I reclaim my time. First of all, just like to say, we all know that Punta Gorda is a boating community. We'll have to move real quickly on this. And boats are expensive. We talked about this before. Boats are very expensive, and we have to maintain them. They're getting more expensive, and it's taking a lot of energy, a lot of time to keep our boats updated. Go ahead.
Can you talk into the mic, please?
Okay. And let's face it, we live in Florida. The sun here is brutal, especially in the summertime for those of us who are here all year round, which I am. Yet in Punta Gorda, our expensive boats are deteriorating, and it's by Punta Gorda law that we are not allowed to put any canopies over our boats. Go ahead. And these are some actual shots of real boats that are in Burnt Store Isles. This is not like a internet picture or AI or anything like that. These are pictures of boats that are actually in the community and have been exposed to sun damage. Go ahead. And it's not only the boats, it's us, because it's brutal out there. I mean, like, I do a lot of my own maintenance for my own boats, and I go out there and work on them myself, and I'd love to have a canopy over me, so when I'm working on it and cleaning it, doing maintenance, I have some shade. But right now, the law says, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Dykes, you are going to do your work in the bright sunshine in Florida in the middle of the summertime. Go ahead. And I'm only in my 60s, but like I said, I would like to do this in my 70s and 80s. I grew up on boats from when I was a little teeny kid, and I'd like to keep on doing it through, hopefully, the rest of my life. So again, we have older people, and I'm going to be one of them one of these days. Go ahead. And one of the things, the upper right-hand picture, you'll see that there's a snap-on snap-on cover, a canvas cover. And the issues with those is that and I have one of these, I put them on my boat. And on mine, you put it on, and then you let it sit there for, say, you haven't been on the boat for about a month, it rains, you get a whole bunch of rain on it. You come back, you take the cover off, and then you find a lot of mold on your boat. The other thing is, it's like you're having to put the cover on every single time that you go out, you're taking it off, and you're also putting it back on again. And as I get older, that's going to be more and more difficult for me to do. And I know it's more difficult for some of our neighbors to do. Go ahead. And we're also talking about the gentleman before that has the classic cars. We know that we put our expensive vehicles in our garages, and we all know why, right? Because we don't take our classic and expensive cars, just leave them out into the elements. Go ahead. Now, even the RVs that we have in Punta Gorda, we have places to put them, and look at that, they have roofs, and we have basically a canopy over top of our RVs. And those are actually inside of Punta Gorda that we have places to put our RVs. So we have places to put our cars, we have places to put our RVs. Go ahead. And we even have a place for our dogs. And then the Punta Gorda council right here has even realized that shade structure is really important, because they built these, and then in the magazines and things, they said they know that they need shade. Go ahead. And a little comic I put in here just because I thought this was like me when I came here. Yes, Harold, I know it's a brand new boat, but Punta Gorda doesn't allow boat canopies, and I don't know why either. Go ahead. And this is sort of like it's just a tongue-in-cheek thing, and it was like I kind of pictured, like, why is this rule here? And it's kind of the old Punta Gorda council saying, yeah, it's a terrible idea, but let's do it anyway. Go ahead. And these are some of my neighbors. I just went around and said, hey, would you like to have canopies? Go ahead. And these are some of my other neighbors. I said, would you want canopies? Yes. And these are all pictures of my friends in front of their boats saying, hey, look, I don't have a canopy, and I'd like to have one. Go ahead. And go ahead. Okay. And then this is Chuck Eichner. He's a waterfront specialty realtor. And he's actually my real estate agent that I bought my house from. And I asked him about this, and he says, yeah, he says, definitely. I have boat owner people looking for houses, and there's a lot of times they're searching for a house that's a good match with their boat too. And he says, boat canopies are definitely highly valued by my customers searching for waterfront homes. For some, the boat canopy ban inside Punta Gorda can be a problem, and I don't know why we have a ban. Go ahead. And another one, Kurt Haveloff, you know him. He's another one of their real estate agents that sells a lot of houses. He says, our neighbors want the ability to protect their boats from constant sun exposure. The majority of Punta Gorda waterfront properties are owned by older residents, and it's going to get harder for them to manage these canvas boat covers. Oops, sorry.
And I've had this conversation at least 25 or 30 times before with over 1,400 agents in the area. And I can't imagine how many times this conversation has come up. Go ahead. Now, this is actually the map of Punta Gorda here. Everything that's in the shaded blue area is within Punta Gorda city limits. Now, I want you take a note of the part that's kind of in the center right there. And that's basically an out parcel of where Punta Gorda doesn't have jurisdiction. But everywhere else you see in PGI and BSI, it does. Go ahead. And go. Okay, and this is a list of the boat canopy areas where they're allowed. So we're talking before, I heard a comment earlier, says, I don't want it to look like a trailer park. Well, look, they're allowed in Sarasota, Placido, Cape Coral, Sanibel, Naples, Marco Island, and that's a recent change from banning canopy to allowing them. Another one is Florida Keys, recent changes to allow them. Go ahead. Again, this is a saying, is it sort of a ghetto-looking thing, a trailer park-looking thing? This is Sarasota. These are pictures taken of boat canopies where the houses are almost $3 million a piece. Go ahead. Placida, $1.3 million house with a boat canopy in the back. Go ahead. Cape Coral, that's a $3.9 million house, and on the left-hand side is a $2 million house. All have canopies on them. So these are hardly trailer parks. Go ahead. Again, this is Captiva. We know this is all around here. $3.7 million house. There's a canopy right there. Go ahead. 3.7 million. Go ahead. Sanibel. Naples. This is one I wanted to show you especially because this is down in Naples. Look at the quality of this particular neighborhood, okay? And this is down in Naples. They have very high-end houses close together. It's a tight little neighborhood. Canals around, similar to what we have, but a little bit higher end. And they have canopies, okay? So go ahead. Now, this is the little out parcel I was talking about before. This is the part that Punta Gorda does not have jurisdiction over, and inside of that, there's plenty of canopies. In fact, now if we look at the bottom square that has the highlighted next slide, go ahead. We're going to go out here. That one street on the right-hand side, every single one of those houses is well over $1 million, probably multi-million dollars, and that's on the way out of Alligator Creek. If you ever take a boat ride out Alligator Creek, you're going to see a lot of canopies, and that's actually what made me say, how come we can't have them? Because Alligator Creek, people in the Alligator Creek, let me put this over here, there we go. People in Alligator Creek are able to put canopies up. So there's like a dozen or so in there, and we go right by these multi-million dollar houses that have them. Go ahead. So our sensitivity, so this is one of the things. We're your neighbors, okay? I don't see this as like, us against them. I kind of consider this a we thing, okay? We're not trying to push something on you. We're sensitive to what you guys are asking for. I've heard the arguments before. I know that there's someone saying, hey, it's gonna ruin our views. The risk to property damage and other things due to storms. Like when we do have storms, is there gonna be some debris coming around? And upkeep, okay? We've heard this and we're trying to address those. So we took the information from our other neighbors and then said, okay, well, what can we do for that? Go ahead. So we also are sensitive to aesthetics, and just as a reminder, this is coming down Alligator Creek, and they do have canopies. And in fact, that's just like my boat, but it has a canopy, which is one of the reasons I'm kind of here. Go ahead. Now, this is a current view, actually, of my backyard. And this is the picture of what it looks like without canopies. Go ahead. And there's a canopy added in the far one with the 3 engines. Gary, you might recognize that boat right there. And go ahead, go next one. Okay, that's another one where I just went ahead and added a canopy in there. Now, does that look trailer park to you? I think it's okay. Go ahead. Another example right here. Look at the a boat on the left-hand side. Go ahead. And then I added the canopies in the picture. So that's the difference in the views. Go ahead. Here's another example. Go ahead. That's the canopy on top now. That's what's going to do to our views. Go ahead. Now, this is an interesting slide right here because if you take a look at the ordinances, this is perfectly acceptable in Punta Gorda, okay? But it does block views. It doesn't look great. And now if the hurricane comes along, you're still going to probably tear that up. Go ahead. But if we did have a boat that we wanted to protect, go ahead. We could put this on. So the ironic thing is that what we saw before was allowed, but this is not. So what we're trying to say is we should be able to do this to protect our boats. Go ahead. This is another example of, this is another example of what's allowed right now. Go ahead. And that's not. Okay, so what we're trying to say is we would like to have this as available to us. Now, we're not saying everybody's going to have this. In fact, I think that there's going to be very few people that are going to get canopies because they're expensive. But I would like to have the opportunity to do that for those of us who want to protect our boats. Go ahead. And this is just a bunch of, this is supposed to be an animation, but it's not working for the animation. Is this the P? Never mind, doesn't matter. According to, and this is the same boat, according to the Punta Gorda ordinance, this is perfectly fine, go ahead, but this is okay too. according to the rules, that's fine, go ahead. And then this is actually just a view of my backyard, and I always thought to myself, if that guy, this is literally my view of my backyard, and if this guy had a canopy over there, at least the boat wouldn't be dirty, so that would make the view better, go ahead. And then these are examples which, I don't know, this graphics didn't work out. But what's actually happening is there are some real issues. We have real sun damage, we have real mold, we have real repair, and boatloads of no shade when we're working on our boats. And we have elderly people trying to manage the canopy covers and cleaning the boats. And on the other hand, and we're just trying to be a little tongue-in-cheek here, the people are just worried about their views. And my point is that we have real issues with our boats, and a lot of people are worried about their views, so we're going to try to address them and try to fix it and try to make it better for both sides. Go ahead. Okay, for the storm mitigation, we would like to say that the canvas covers can be removed in less than 30 minutes by one person, and we do have contracted vendors that are able to change them out. It also would become part of the normal hurricane preparation that everybody would do with their house. You say, okay, if you have a canopy, that's part of your preparation is to remove them, and that's going to be on part of the permit that we're going to go through later. And we also have quick releases, so we're able to get those canopies on, the covers on and off very quickly. So we're saying, yes, we can take those off and prepare for hurricanes, so we won't have some of those issues we were talking about before.
The purpose of speaking into the mic is for the people that aren't here.
Okay.
That are watching it on
Here,
on YouTube.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, there. All right. Where are we? And then we have quick releases so that we can get those off the frames. Go ahead. This is from an insurance person that was specifically looking at all the past times of Irma, Charlie, Ian, Helene, and Milton, and he says, I cannot recall a single incident where a canvas boat canopy caused damage to a neighboring property. Go ahead. And his final conclusion was, in my professional opinion, remember he's a professional guy looking at risk management, he said, in my opinion, there are no more of a risk of during storm than pool cages, trees, roofing tiles, shingles, rain gutters, and all the other things we lose because of projectiles in the storm. So what he's actually saying is, there's no more of a risk of the boat canopies than everything else that's flying around. Go ahead. So in other words, the professional risk managers do not see canopies as an added storm risk. Go ahead. And therefore, we contend that canopies are not a real aesthetic issue and not a greater storm risk. Yet the boat canopies provide much needed protection for both the boats and the people. Go ahead. And our goal is really to allow the narrow range of boat canopies to protect our water. So we've said our goal, we want to have canopies, but we do want to, we agree with you guys, we want to maintain a high level of aesthetic community standards. We want to provide an approved design that can withstand storms and provide additional revenue to city through permitting. So we're trying to answer some of those things that people are concerned about. Go ahead. So our proposal is to use the template of Charlotte County, Florida requirements and guidelines, plus we'd like to make it even more tight as far as the requirements of the canopies themselves. For instance, we'll have a curved top, and that's one single design. We'll have overhead canopies only, and we're going to have no side panels and no end panels. So if people are worried about the views blocking, we're not going to allow any side panels, no end panels, just the top. We're going to have a removable to serviceable canvas. Well, no rusting frame materials and limited neutral color selection. So we're not going to allow the bright pinks and stuff. It's going to be very, very controlled designs that we're going to be asking for the canopies. Go ahead.
Chris, that's your time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Can we go one last one, then we're done? Just show the permitting. Go, 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 go. That one right there. Just in the permitting process, we're going to answer some of those things you specifically asked for, which is inspections. The owners have to maintain canopy cover, remove the frame, and remove canopy for hurricanes, and that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. is the canvas that we're showing?
We always make our wives happy.
Okay. It's a little high, isn't it? Good morning. Can you hear me?
Get it closer. Yes.
Is that good?
Good morning. For the record, I'm Pam Bevac,
And I'm Rich Bevac.
and we are residents of Burnstor Isles, and we've been residents for about 8 years now. We live on a canal, and we do own a boat. And I have to say, when we were searching for places that we wanted to move to after we retired, we searched communities all up and down the Gulf side of Florida. And we searched communities all the way up from about 2 hours north of Tampa all the way down to Marco Island. And when we finally narrowed it down to Punta Gorda, we just love this community because it's small. We like the small town charm of it. And most of all, we liked the community because it's beautiful, and we like the looks of the canals, very clean. So we're putting together a proposal of why we would like to keep the Chapter 6, Article 2 of the boat that prohibits boat canopies. So,
Excellent.
Save our canals. The city ordinance Chapter 6, Article 2 states boat lift canopies shall be prohibited.
In response to that, this Article 2 and Chapter 6, Article 2, this has been reviewed more than one time. This has been reviewed a couple times through council and through, I think, all through council. And at every venture, they have never changed this at all. Go ahead.
Okay, reasons that we think we oppose the boat lift canopies is because the obstructed views. Boat lift canopies are obtrusive, no matter what anybody else thinks. They do limit views. They will add clutter and detract from the natural beauty of our waterways.
And in regards to that, some people, we've got these side lots, the way the docks are set up, but we also have corners. And if you put 3 or 4 boats or 5 boats in these corners and all have canopies, it's going to definitely distract from the view.
A boat canopy ordinance cannot be adequately enforced. A city zoning official has publicly stated that the staff does not have the capacity to handle permitting, the enforcement and inspections of boat canopies. Without the ability to monitor and inspect the canopies, structures that violate the code restrictions will go undetected.
And in response to that, basically what we're saying is you can't enforce this. The city doesn't have the ability to do this.
Speak into the mic, please.
Oh, excuse me. Why would we even consider this? Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Boat canopies will cost the taxpayers more money. The canal maintenance supervisor has stated Punta Gorda is unique in that the city owns our seawalls. Boat canopies will add to the cost for maintaining and replacing the seawalls.
And to look at these visuals right here, this is in our canalways right now. This is what has happened to us. These are recent pictures that I've taken. So evidently, they haven't been able to maintain this. And we object to that.
Okay. Boat lift canopies will add more storm debris to our waterways. The canopy structures and covers will add more hazardous and unsightly debris in our canals after strong windstorms and hurricanes.
So consequently, in this respect, there'll be, with the storms, there'll be more debris to be picked up, just added more, and there could be hazardous to canopies that are flying off.
Okay, boat lift canopies will pose more risk for all homeowners. If your neighbor's boat canopy ends up in your yard after a storm, it's going to be your responsibility and your expense to have it removed and repair any damages that's been done to your home or your property.
And in regards to the insurance, probably the reason why that the insurance companies have said that they haven't got an issue with this is because a lot of insurance companies won't cover these. Go ahead.
Boat lift canopies can potentially impede safe navigation. Structures extending over the waterways can make navigation more difficult, especially around blind corners and in narrow or intersecting canals. Let's keep our canals safe.
Well, in regards to that, Burnt Store rim canals, with the elevator lifts they do not have the ability to have that because if they put another post in, it'll impede the waterway and it will deny people from coming through because it doesn't reach the standard of the waterways of 40 feet.
Okay, unattractive boat canopies make our homes less desirable. Protect our property values. Faded, torn, and canopies in disrepair are a big eyesore. We already have a number of boats with old, faded covers. Let's not add ugly boat canopies to that list.
And historically, Pam and I have been around to a lot of communities, and a lot of high-end communities and low-end communities. It's consistent that maybe 50% keep them up, and the other 50% don't. We don't want that because of that. We don't want the 50% that don't. And that happens, and it's a historical, we know this is continuous in all these communities.
Okay, boat canopies are self-serving for boat owners. Boat canopies are only an advantage to the boat owner who has one. They do not provide any benefit to the community as a whole. In fact, they are detrimental in many ways.
This is especially if they're not maintained. And we know not, as Chris has pointed out, a lot of the boats in our canalways are not maintained. Who's going to maintain them? Who's going to maintain the canopies? They don't even maintain the boats here. Go ahead.
A boat lift canopy ordinance is unfair to some boat owners because if the ordinance is changed, boat owners who live on canals with the elevator lifts will not have the same opportunity or the ability to install a canopy cover.
That's a fact. We've already asked the Canal Maintenance Committee in regards to this. I know that's the second time we said that, but I wanted to reassure you of that.
Okay, boat lift canopy covers are not necessary. We've heard that, I think, from a few other boat owners here. For boat owners who want to protect their boats without the time and effort it does take to manually button down a cover, they do have the option to install the Power Assist mooring cover. This type of cover is unobtrusive, it does not detract or restrict the views, and it is allowed in the ordinance.
Come on, if you own a $100,000 boat and you're not maintaining it, shame on you. People moved here knowing the rules and regulations, and we don't think that it should be changed at all.
Okay, please save our canals. Boat canopies will forever change the look of our canals. Punta Gorda's canals are unique, better looking, and different than canals in other communities. That's due to our city's strong ordinance. We all lived here because we like the way the city looks. Let's not change the things that make our canals beautiful, neat looking, and uncluttered.
Why change a good thing?
Thank you.
We have a wonderful good thing here, and we don't want to ruin them. And we're looking for you to make a motion to not change the ordinance. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, my question is, I asked for the canal advisory committees to have representation here. Are any of them here? What is the opinion of the advisory committee?
He has to go up to the podium.
Please come to the podium and express. I mean, what's... Well,
just wants to
But
listen.
you're an advisory committee, and this is an issue that warrants your advice to the council.
Rick Doherty, Vice Chairman, BSI Canal Committee. We are an advisory committee, but our advice is outside, or this is outside of our stated goals as being advisory. But I do have an opinion. I will give you my opinion. My opinion is I'm a boat owner. I've got a lot of money in my boat, and I would like to do everything I could to protect it. And I believe that a cover over my boat would help in that process. So even though I polish it, I take care of it, I go out and clean it a lot, protecting it from the sun would make my life a whole lot easier. So I'm in favor of boat
Well, I
coverage.
appreciate your personal
Yes.
opinion. However, as an advisory committee,
Yes.
that is what you're intended to do.
Yes.
And are you representing the whole committee?
Yes, yes. And I've been on there for a long time, and I've been there to help, through the widening of the lock. That's one thing that I've dealt with for a long time. But the committees has said we do not know all of our BSI residents' feeling, and the only way that we can do that would be to put it up for a vote. And so actually our committee's recommendation, standing too close to it, I guess, but our committee's recommendation is this should go to community-wide vote and allow the community to decide upon should it be or should it not be. Because we cannot question every resident. And that's why we believe that it needs to be out for a general election vote.
Thank you, and that's what I was looking for. How about the other advisory committee?
I'm Matt Farrar. I'm a member of the Burnt Star Isles Advisory Committee as well.
What's your name?
Matthew Farrar.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
I share the same opinion as well.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat. I wanted the PGI advisory committee opinion.
We're all BSI.
We're all BSI. I don't know if
Is
anybody
anybody here from
PGI is here.
PGI advisory committee? Okay, thank you, guys.
My name's Bob Kanabe. I'm chair of the Punta Gorda Isles Advisory Committee. We have seen this presentation twice, I believe, and this will be the third. I don't believe, or we don't feel, that we need to recommend yay or nay, mainly because there's a lot of issues that I think need to be resolved. One is that these canopies of this design that they're talking about may not be the only design that's available in the market. There may be better apples out there than this apple, better ways of doing it if you're going to go forward with canopies. The canopy design does go against part of the ordinance in that it would encroach in the navigable waterway by approximately, looks like about 2 foot, depending on how high it is. And of course, there's no yet a height restriction or a height limit that would have to be put on. So these are items that we have to take a look at. I was thinking the other day of this, and I thought of where we come from as an advisory committee. We look at a lot of end of canal properties, putting in a boat lift, looking at the boat limits, looking at the structural limits. We fight that all the time. We try to make it a boating community and allow it. However, you stick a canopy on it that overlaps, you'll never get people to have canopies on all the properties, on all the corners, and there's a lot of corners. That's something that, that would have to be determined whether we want to go forward with that or not. These are the facts of what we did. We looked at it, we kind of punted. We said, we're not against, we're not for. We have to take a look at it. Do the residents of PGI want to change? And I also looked back and said, where do we get most of our problems going through special permits? And the first thing that usually comes up is view. Whether it be a boat, whether it be a boat lift, it's always the view. That I can't change, and nor can the advisory committee take that up as an issue. But you have to. That's about it. I am concerned about the overlaps and the navigable waterway interference, and that would have to be addressed. If a canopy would be put up without changing the overlap, it would be much higher above the boat and stay within the limits of structural and/or boat limitations.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I also asked for the Burnt Store Isles Boating Association's opinion, and they said that they are opposed. I don't know how many people that represents. We have PGICA representation here. Do you have an opinion? If you do, I have to come to the mic, please.
My name is Mary Ann Cott, last name is spelled K-O-T. I'm the current president of the board of the Punta Gorda Isles Civic Association. This has been a heavily discussed topic. Our board cannot and will not take a position on a matter before the city council because we have not surveyed our entire membership and therefore cannot speak as one for them. I can only speak for the people I know and those of us who are here personally from the board, and I am adamantly opposed to the canopy, the 45-degree view, the maintenance. So those are just my personal opinions.
Thank you. I think we need to see about putting it out to a vote of the community.
Debbie, do you have some comments about the survey? Debbie, do you have comments about the survey?
I actually, in my newsletter, and asked people to share it, I did put out a survey, and then a lot of us, it went to city council, also had a lot of emails sent to us. So I took my survey and all the emails and I took out the duplicates, and we were still getting them early this morning, you know, yays and nays. What I have come up with looking at it, and I hate to waste paper, but if anybody wanted to look at it, I printed just the yeses and nos. But with the survey that I had taken, there were 729 people who responded, which I think is a pretty fair amount of people. Of that, 184 said yes, 6 said maybe, and 539 said no. And this is just a survey asking them if they lived in the city, if they lived in PGI or BSI, if they lived on the canal. I also asked if they looked at, the presentations and if they wanted to have one or if they did not want to have one. So I asked several questions, yes or no, and this is what we had come up with, or what I had come up with, taking all of our emails and the survey that I had done. Very time consuming. Thank you all for, responding. But it is what we need to do. We need to listen to our residents and from, I listen, and I have both, pros and cons for both of it. I feel both ways. I too like the thought of protecting, our boats and stuff like that. One of the things for me that really concerned me is not everybody's going to be here. These bungee cords, if they come off, and this is a conservative thing with our marine life, is that they had a study where the bungee clips actually endangered the small-toothed sawfish, when they get into the canals. So this was a huge thing for me. We have a protected, sawfish, small sawfish teeth. I always call them small-toothed sawfish, and they're endangered. And so with these bungee cords, unless we could protect it, and of course, even like Helene when it came up, how many of us were prepared for that? There's so many things, so many factors in here. So I personally, looking at both ways, I always said I'm gonna do what the majority of the residents want. According to my survey, the majority of the residents say no. Well, yeah, if anybody's talking, they have to come up to the podium right now. Council is talking.
So a couple things, a little bit of history. Obviously, this comes up every couple years. I've been here 27 years, and every 4 or 5 years it comes up. And both sides have very good arguments for or nay. And a lot of times we don't get a lot of feedback from residents either way. I've talked to a lot of residents. I've seen both, pros and cons to it. There's already some concerns that have been brought up that, with the navigable waterways and whatnot. A few years ago, the compromise was allowing those motorized, I'm sorry, I don't exactly know what the name of it is, but those motorized options. And again, the concern was twofold. It was protecting the boat, but then elderly people that just physically can't put, their canvas on and off. I do own a boat. I am lucky enough to have somebody that allows me to keep in PGI, and I do understand the frustration. But looking at the majority of people that have reached out, looking at some of the concerns that I don't think, and I think is going to be hard to try to figure out, what unintended consequences is going to have from that, I would not be in favor.
Jen?
Rosalind Mills?
We have to let council is talking right now. Actually, we need to finish our talk.
Okay, I'll just wait.
Just wait there.
Thank you.
I'm surprised there was many yays, because when I looked at all the emails, and there were hundreds, probably, starting in the spring, it seemed like it was about 90% no. And as someone who ran on listening to the residents and representing the people, I don't feel there's a choice, because the majority of the residents, no matter how you look at it, yours is more accurate, obviously. So I don't think I can say yes to the canopies, as much as I might want one, my husband might want one, but it's not what the majority of the residents want from everything I see.
Janine Polk for the record, and I just kind of read around who is allowing this, and Cape Coral, when they had the flooding last from Ian, they found that the canopies were actually, they didn't allow them to go high enough, so the boats couldn't go high enough to keep away from the flooding. So now they're asking, hey, can we raise our canopies up to 30 feet? And I just don't know where the limit is going to really be. I feel like I didn't get any numbers. And just from reading that, they're asking for more now. So once we allow it, they may say, hey, this isn't working out, now we need to do this. And that to me gets it's a slippery slope.
One last comment. While I certainly understand the issues, the concerns, the need for shade when you're working on your boat, when I ran for this position, I said I would listen to the residents, and the vast majority of the residents that have corresponded with us say no. I held 2 town halls, and I got the same response. And unfortunately, I have to say no. Are we done?
I think we should make them, well, yes, if we allow one person, are we going to allow more people to come up then? You know, that's our thing, because when we started at the beginning, we asked anybody who wanted to talk about it to please talk about it and present themselves.
Yes, and my question is more to do with the survey, because I've only lived in PGI, Roslyn Mills, 2448 St.
Yep,
David's
I don't
Island
know your
Drive.
name.
Yes, I've only lived here years. This is something that has just come to my knowledge, a choice between having a boat cover or having no boat cover. Something I find very interesting, even though I moved here knowing that you could not have one.
I tried to say something, is that?
No, I think we've had our public comments this morning.
My thing is with
Wait,
the
please,
survey,
please.
what type of survey
Ma'am.
is this? It's not
Are we allowing public?
sound survey, because these are people and
Ma'am,
constituents.
ma'am, I'm
that
sorry,
all
we can't
voted
have you
for
keep speaking. We have not reopened public comment, respectfully, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Thank you. So the question is, do we want anybody,
I make a motion to deny 6C.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny 6C. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. We're sorry, we tried to.
Can I just add
take
something?
a
You know,
break.
you guys could always do a referendum on this. If you get 2,000 people to sign a referendum, we will put it on the ballot. That's the law. So it still could come up.
Everybody's going to clear right now.
I know we're going to have a bunch of upset people, but
It's going to happen.
Like I said, they can do a referendum.
A brief recess.
yes, we're going to take a 10-minute recess right now.
Jim, you could put in your email if they want a referendum, but it won't pass.
If
But we
it
can still
helps,
let them
that
have
lady
it.
was the one that spoke in the back, and someone had said if you're gonna speak about to the mic, I think that's the only reason she. I think she started saying something about the survey in the back.
Yeah, I think we just need to be very clear about whether or not.
You're welcome. I just
gotta
tried
get a
to,
process
you know,
started.
that's why I thought
Yeah.
I listened to the residents, so I put out a survey.
Do you
Ask
need
people to
anything?
share it.
No.
You're good still?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, make
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, all went really well.
Citizens can petition and have a referendum placed on the ballot next year.
Sure, okay.
And that's it.
Yep.
Well, that's appropriate.
Yeah, if these people, yeah, I think that's, Misty, what do you think?
Hear it all.
He was talking what
You
Janine
know,
had said with the referendum.
That if we wanted to announce, although city council has unanimously voted against the boat canopy, residents can certainly follow the procedures within the charter to petition to get a referendum on the ballot for next year. There certainly are, or you just leave it quiet, nobody's
Do you want to?
Do you really want to open up that can of worms? Is my
And do you
only
want all
question.
those emails, and do you want to fight this for a year?
No, you don't.
They're going to be mad. And
Well, and plus they heard it as soon as I read what the thing was, you can do it by referendum,
And Janine said.
and Janine said.
I wish more people would come to these meetings.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Jenna said, whether I like it or not like it, it's what the residents have said.
Let's talk about it at the end, just so we can get a final.
I'm sorry, and that's what I had to do. If they would have come in favor of it, I would have. Yeah. I was shocked, but yeah, we got.
From a personal
But thank you.
perspective, if you're passionate, don't give up. But it's not going to come back up next month. But it sounds like about
75.
Almost 75, 80%. Thank you.
I thought it was a good number of people to kind of make a decision. You know, if it would have been only a few people who decided that, I would have said no. You know, this doesn't count. But
Yeah, we don't use those, every week.
I think I have about 15 to 1,600 people, and then I asked them to share it. So it got shared to a bunch of people. So.
The only thing, if we could route this so where it's a money-making, you know, we could say, hey, you're gonna pay $2,500 for a permit, and then you have to pay so much per year to keep it
It would have been,
maintained.
no, by the time.
Then it becomes a pain in the
And then we're gonna have a hurricane, and they're gonna come to council, and they're gonna ask for a waiver of permit fees.
You know, that's the only benefit is the financial.
Right, if you set them high.
If you set them high enough, and some people will go for it. You know, I mean, if you got $1 million boat, you're gonna pay your permit
The
fee.
whole paid and out
Yeah.
parking on both.
Yep. Well, good. This meeting won't last as long as you guys thought it would. Well, what is it, 11:30?
Don't say that anytime somebody.
I'm sorry, Missy, I'm sorry.
11:30.
Dallas back yet, or is she still
She'll be back
on hiatus?
She'll be
moving?
back on Monday.
Monday, I'll get coordinating with you.
Thanks again for all your help.
Great presentation.
High podium.
And, you know, it's about resident engagement and you telling council what it is that you want to see in your community.
What do you think about that? Okay? That's great. Slow enough.
Did you? Were you driving too fast?
Your lucky stag. And I said, well, here's my registration for it. It's your boat registration.
Oh.
If we both let this is what happens when you get old. You know, just let here's a citation, get it fixed. You know, you have to be really good. I'm glad we have some.
With the sign, I think it's too far down the road to change.
I know. I knew it was the other day because Wayne had been calling me saying, do you think anybody will be opposed? I go, what does it look like? It does look like an advertisement for them, but I get why they're doing it, right? The celebration has to do with the military, so it should. So let's move on. Let's get a new sign. I just don't know, so we couldn't put it at the Military Heritage Museum, it couldn't be there because it would have to go through the process. Yeah, I think that's what Wayne said, that that's why they wanted to put it in a public place, because, then they didn't have to go through the process of I guess they would have to pull a permit, I don't know, for a sign.
Maybe make it in our LBRs that if anybody wants to change that, it must go through a referendum or something like that, or just make a notation, you know, so it doesn't keep on coming up and then it goes through this and just say no.
Well, it's institutional knowledge now. No one's ever suggested it become
Oh, wow.
referendum
Yeah.
before.
Listen, they could put it to rest if it were really voted on. They would put it to rest.
Yeah.
So let them write up their referendum, get 2,000 signatures if they think they can.
Absolutely.
Where's Boyd? I was gonna. Thank you.
Presentation.
It's scary when you're going up there. I'm on my time limit here. is what I see. And like I said, this is what we campaigned on, is listening to the residents. It upset people, but I'm like, it's just like spouses, you know, you don't agree 100%. That's just something here.
So anyways, tell me how your drive's going.
Well, I felt bad about this last lady, but it was like, then if we let it, then we just open the can of worms of everything just happening again. So, right. So, you know, I felt bad, but that's what I was trying to say. Anything else, it's a good time right now. I'm gonna get hate mail. I know. Always happens. Where?
Yeah.
This boy. Where have you been?
Because the water came up, yeah, now they have to go 40 feet, and they want 40 feet. I was like, what? 40 feet? How would that work? I think some of our houses in KGI are maybe 30. It is. We just don't have the staff. We don't. We really don't.
What's that you said? No, not even. Come on.
Get back to it. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I need that. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, it's bird stories. It's bird stories.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a limit to what
I'm
we charge
saying,
per
la la la.
conversation.
No, you don't want that.
And most people probably, you know.
Oh, did they turn the mic on when I did that? That's good.
Sits for entertainment. You have road harness and gratification, from a financial.
Okay, can we get started again, please? I didn't see what
I need to actually get my PowerPoint up.
because I still want to ask, can it be changed, or is it like, because
Speed cameras now.
yeah,
All right.
but then
Is Ashley gonna pull my
it's
PowerPoint?
just if there's two, if there were three slides. There were three slides.
We know everybody's here.
They did clear out.
They didn't want to stay for the whole thing?
They don't care about these.
Chief, I think that they want to stay for you.
That's all right. I'm good.
Cleared the house.
I know. Come on. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
I already crossed you off. We're done.
Oh, good. All
I
right.
didn't realize it.
Oh, that's not funny.
Okay. Do you want to read the canopy stuff or the summary? Do you
I'll
wanna-
try to look over.
I mean, speed cameras. Sorry. We're going to let Mr. Leskovich read the summary.
Okay.
Another resident, not subject.
Sarah, you ready? You ready for us? Okay.
Recommended action is for approval to move forward with establishing a speed camera program in the city of Punta Gorda school zones. The summary is House Bill 657 was approved by the Florida legislature and signed by Governor Ron DeSantis on May 31st, 2023. Under this law, the use of cameras is authorized to enforce speeding violations in school zones throughout the school day. Since then, numerous cities and counties throughout Florida have instituted speed camera programs to enhance the safety of children that attend their schools. Charlotte County has recently approved a speed camera program for their school zones. Studies have found that when a vehicle travels 20 miles per hour or less The risk of a fatal pedestrian injury is less than 10%. This number increases to over 50% risk when vehicles travel over 40 miles per hour or more. Implementing a speed camera program in the city's school zones will help ensure compliance with reduced speeds while school is in session and reduce the risk of a fatal pedestrian injury. It is recommended that the City Council consider implementing a school zone speed camera program.
Good morning, everybody. Chief Pam Smith, Punta Gorda Police Department, and you already touched on the opening part of, you can go to the next slide, my presentation. Basically, that House Bill 657 was approved May 31st, 2023, that gives us the authority to implement a speed camera program in our school zones. What does it entail? So it is basically a portable or fixed device that is using radar or LiDAR, as well as it captures speed using photographs or video of the vehicle as it's passing. So it'll get the rear tag and so that we can use it for identification purposes. And Florida statute actually regulates how it's implemented, how the signs need to be set up, and how it has to be put in the school zone. So some of the benefits. Basically, obviously, the number one goal is to protect our kids that are walking to school, biking to school, or being driven by their parents to school. It can also protect staff and anybody that's traversing in the school zones during that time, because the goal is to reduce the speed. I looked at, so the vendors will cite a 90% reduction in speed with a 10% recidivism rate. I decided I wanted to look a little further and see if there were any independent studies, and I found one out of Seattle, Washington, back in 2015 that was done that looked at cameras in general, not just the school zones, and they cited a 50% reduction in speed using these cameras. And I'll come back and address some of the concerns that were brought up Monday. I just want to get through the presentation so you guys can get out of here at some point today. So the benefits of the school zone program, I talked about obviously protecting our students and our staff and those who traverse. It also actually helps improve the flow of traffic because you don't have people speeding up and then slamming on the brakes and everything else. They're pretty much going at a nice, steady, slow speed through the zone at all times. Next slide, Charlotte County. So Charlotte County, they've already approved the speed camera program in basically the unincorporated part of Punta Gorda. They're in the process of implementing it now. We technically have 3 public schools. Baker Center is considered a pre-K. We still consider it one of our schools, obviously. But the school zones would cover those 3 public schools for our city. And so basically all the schools in Charlotte County except for ours would have speed cameras if we decide not to do this. And just a consideration, kind of don't want to be the only ones that don't have that safety program in place. So the traffic study. The county's vendor is Red Speed, and they've already conducted a 3-day traffic study at all the school zones in Charlotte County, so they even included ours. There are a couple roads that we're missing. Taylor, between McKenzie and Naranja, has a little school zone, and Allen Street was not listed on their study. But if you look at their 3-day study, you'll see Charlotte High showing an average of 418 violations a day. Punta Gorda Middle has about 140 violations a day. Part of, behind Punta Gorda Middle, we have Education Avenue, and I didn't count that because that is Charlotte County's jurisdiction. And Sally Jones is showing 73 violations a day on East McKenzie. They're only showing about 5 on Naranja. That's where the parents line up and go in there, so there's really not a big issue there. That wouldn't be considered a heightened safety risk there, but the other ones would. And like I said, we're missing a couple of our zones that weren't studied, so that would be something. If we decide to go forward, we would want to have those studies done. And I would recommend that they would be done again regardless. So the impacts, it's fully funded by the violators. So there is staff time that's needed to verify the citations when they get sent to us. We would have an officer trained as well as we can train some of our professional staff to be traffic infraction officers, and some staff time for a clerk out of the zoning office that would do the code enforcement hearing, setting those up. But the fines that are basically received by the city could be used to fund or to offset some of the salary cost when we're using our staff to do that. Basically, once the education period's finished, so you have to start off with a 30-day education period. So anybody going through and committing a violation will get a warning the first 30 days. And then once that's done, and you start to see, so right now you're seeing about 600 violations a day when you total all the speed zones that have already been studied. It tends to taper off. So you're talking about a 90% reduction according to the vendor, which would be about 60 citations a day. So ultimately the impact is we're going to be dealing with probably about 60 citations a day. It's estimated that about 3% of those will be appealed. So when you're trying to think of what's that going to mean for the Code Enforcement Board, looking at about 36 cases that could potentially be heard by the Code Enforcement Board.
Per
So,
month?
yes, sir?
Per month or?
A month. And I did speak with the zoning official, Rachel Berry, and she believes that that's not going to be a huge issue for the Code Enforcement Board. And I think she's here today and can come up if you have questions about that. So the details of how the violations occur, the infractions are captured 30 minutes before school starts, then all through the day that school's in session, and then 30 minutes after. As you all know, there's yellow flashing lights that are in the school zones. When they're on, it's usually about an hour. In the morning, it's about an hour and 40 minutes or so. In the afternoon, it's about an hour of each of those zones. That's when the speed limit reduces down to 15. It's currently 30 miles an hour, but if the yellow lights are flashing, it's 15. So if you're traveling 11 miles over, then you'll get a violation. Same with during the day when the yellow lights aren't flashing, it goes back to 30, and if you're doing 11 miles over, so you're doing 41, that's when you would get a violation. And then the review procedure, I know there was questions, somebody had mentioned lawsuits in other areas. It was because there was no good human verification process, is my understanding from what I've been reviewing. And the way the county's vendor works is that they have 2 humans. So one human sees it, confirms everything, another human sees it, confirms everything, then they send it to us, and then our person would have to review. They look at the video, they look at the tag, and they make sure the time's right, and the school times. Because some of the problems is school in session? You gotta confirm that. And we would provide all the school dates, times, that they're in session to the vendor, and then the vendor would set it up so that it's based on our school times. So, but we would still want to confirm that on the back end. And they did say it looks like you could do 3. So let's just say we have 60 citations. You can conceivably do 3 violations a minute. So it's about 20 minutes of staff time. So I know that came up too. How much time are we dedicating to that? Penalties. The infractions are set at $100. No impact to insurance, no points if everything's paid the way it's supposed to be. The registered owner is the one that receives the citation. And then the question is, okay, well, what if I wasn't driving? So if you're the registered owner, you get the citation, but you weren't driving, you then complete an affidavit and you say who's driving. Now, if your kid's driving, are you gonna rat your kid out? I don't know, but I would say, probably not. But that's how you can confirm you weren't the driver. If the vehicle was stolen, you just provide a copy of the police report, and if somebody was deceased before the infraction occurred and wasn't driving that vehicle, then you provide a copy of the death certificate. And then the cost breakdown, basically the city would receive so it goes to different areas, 20 to the state fund, and different areas, as well as crossing guard program, which we do have crossing guards that help our kids get to school. The county maintains that program. They get a portion of that. But our city would get 60 per citation. You have to use some of that fund to pay back the vendor. So you give 21 to the vendor and then leaves the city with about $39, which can help, like I said, cover staff time. If you're not aware, the school is dealing with a huge budget issue. So one of the things that is happening is they're going to be cutting the funding of one of our SROs. So we can use this money to go back towards that. And we're not doing, our SROs are staying in place, so there's no issues with that. But so that covers what I wanted to cover in the presentation, but I want to address some of the concerns about what we can be doing other than having cameras. And I know one of the things was why can't we just have an officer do the enforcement there? That's what should be happening. The problem with that is you have 7 total school zones. So if we're going to put an officer there, which one do we pick, or do we put 7 officers there at one time? If you take an officer out of the zone, so you have zone 3, which is where high school and the middle school are, there, zone 3 car also does PGI. So we're talking pulling that officer all the way over to one side of the city, sitting them there for the hour and a half to 2 hours, and not patrolling the rest of the jurisdiction. We do have a full-time traffic officer now, very excited about that. Amber Gray, she's here, wave. She has been doing phenomenal, and she's addressing all these issues that I've been wanting a traffic car since I've been here 8 years, and she's finally being able to address those speeding problems. Burnt Store Meadows, she's been in there for the last 2 weeks now. We got a call about a sports car that races through there at 6:30 in the morning, and she found him the second day she was in there, and he was issued a citation. 50, right, in a 30? 52 and a 30.
Thank you.
But so that's what that officer's supposed to do, is go around and hit these target areas. So it's a short-term solution, whereas I see these cameras as more of a long-term, and that way you're not relying solely on an officer enforcement program. The other thing about adding line cars, just so you know, we only have the empty cars sitting them out there to kind of deter. We only have 3. About 30 we average, and they're used for officers whose cars are in the shop. Hopefully none of them get crashed, but obviously if they get crashed, we then provide that car. And I did look at studies there too. Believe it or not, it actually came from one of the medicine journals, the study, and it found that you put a car out there for 10 days, the first couple days it works great. They get used to it, and they're like, I'm guilty. You go by, there's nobody in there. And they start to speed, and it creeps right back up, and the minute you take the line car away, it goes back to normal. So that study found that. And then the final suggestion was about the SRO vehicles and putting them out to deter the speed out where these school zones are. I'm strongly against that, because our SROs are there to protect our kids in the schools against anybody that's trying to come in there and harm them, as well as our staff members. I want that car right in your face as you're coming up, into the entrance of that school. I want people to think the officer's in there and not outside. So I just wanted to address a couple things, because I heard those were some of the questions that were coming up, and that's all I have. What questions do you guys have for me?
I have just a couple, I'm sorry. So annual fee, is there any kind of an annual fee? And if not, if it breaks, let's say, will they fix it for us?
Yes.
How does that work?
So actually, I even pulled the county's vendor's contract. I got a copy of that, and I sent it to Dr. Record. If you can send that to them, that might help. There is no annual fee. It is all paid for by the violators, so it's all, and our fee back to a county vendor, if we chose to go that way, whatever vendor we use, is probably going to be about, like I said, $39. So $21. I'm getting my numbers backwards. Ours is 39. So 21 goes back to the vendor. That's the fee that we pay, and that they administer the program. If it breaks, they come out and fix it. The only time we could be charged to fix anything is if we break it. So if Public Works, Ron, if you guys are out there and you do something to it and break it, no. Generally, that's not, we're not expecting something like that to happen. But if we were negligent and we did something to it, then we would have to cover the cost. But if it breaks and they even have like hold harmless agreements in that county contract, that if it's gross negligence on their parts or something like that, they handle lawsuits and everything else. So.
I have a question. Go
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So when it gets down to the hoped for 10% infractions, how do the finances work out? Are they okay with $21 and it's only 10%?
Yes.
And will we be able to afford the police officers the same way?
Yes, so out of all transparency, I took that 10%, which is the 60 citations a day, so going from 600 to 60, I took that and I did the math. It still ends up being about $400,000 a year, and that's certainly enough to cover
that number. Okay, great.
The expenses. So
So you'll be really raking it in when it's 90%.
I'm not saying that, because I swear to you all, I'm looking you in the eye, I would like it to be zero and it all just evens out and we don't have to pay anything.
I think it's going to help a lot.
So that's kind of my thought.
Couple questions. Who's doing the installation? Is
The
company
vendor
gonna-
would do the installation.
Because then they have the
And
warranty.
And they have to abide by the state statute, which says that you have to have certain signage and.
That was my next question. So Citizen actually brought up that you have the blinking with the 15.
Yes.
Are we going to have if we go forward, are we going to have a sign that says, during school hours, et cetera, so people are aware of it?
Yes, and the way I understand it, and this will all be conversations with the vendor, is that you have to also say, during this time, it's 15 miles an hour, and during this time, that way if the flashing lights weren't working for some reason, you're covered by that language.
And one more. And I'm assuming today, the conversation is just, do we have the appetite to go forward? Because then you're going to go to the vendor and probably have lots of more information that maybe we'll have questions in the future.
Yes, and we would then go through the procurement process. Could we piggyback on the county? I don't know, or do we do out for bid, however it works. And then you could even have the vendor come and do a presentation so that you guys could specifically ask them the questions.
Okay, I'm ready. So one of the things you talked about, the police cars there, let me tell you, it scared me a lot of times even when nobody was there. And you're right, people get used to it, but what I saw police officers, and it was here in the city many years ago, is they all of a sudden started putting a real police officer there when people started getting used to the fake one. It really does work. It's worked in a lot of places. So I think if you think that people are like starting to speed again, to put somebody there, and when I was asking the question, this is about safety first. And I think that if there's a police officer, if you're seeing something that's happening, it's going to be more reactive than just getting a ticket. The other thing that concerns me is we talk about, and trust me, I'm all for safety of the kids, but I had a lot of questions. Even I quickly glanced at the contract this morning because it came last night after our workshop. And, we talk about, okay, the traffic enforcement officer, and you're saying not a whole lot of time, but we have traffic enforcement officer. We're going to have some sort of an online system that might be there. There's going to be a cost for training. There's going to have to pay for an outreach program. We're going to have to pay for a study. Something where they said that they collect 35%, and I wasn't sure exactly what that was. We've got code enforcement. You're saying it's not going to be a whole lot of time, but okay, how many of our residents, how many citations have we had in code enforcement? People don't pay it, and then all of a sudden now we're chasing, There's no skin in the game for people to get a ticket. It goes through enforcement, which we need 2 attorneys at the code enforcement, and then we're going to have to train and track. But with a speeding ticket actually given, it's twice the fine. They do get points. It will affect their insurance. So what is going to be more effective for the safety of our kids to cause people to slow down? Is it going to be a traffic violation that goes to code enforcement? They're like, oh, it doesn't do anything to my speeding ticket, no big deal. Or to have to actually go to court and pay these fines and get points. So that's the way I'm looking at it. And if it's for the safety of our kids, I think personally, maybe we need to consider hiring, another police officer so that they do, besides Officer Gray, because we have, I don't know if it's even slowed down over the bridge,
Well, that was an example of a short-term solution.
Right.
You guys get those, Matt Welk's group's out there every night, and it hasn't resolved anything. We're still seeing them come
But we
90
have
miles an hour.
hundreds of thousands of people on a very busy street.
I'm just saying, this is not, that is not a long-term solution.
Yeah,
And you got one person pulled over, how many other are flying by you while you're doing that?
Where I used to live, they'd actually have a couple officers where one would be like they're going fast, and you had a couple where they were just, they even had just one officer giving the tickets. They pulled everybody over and said, you stand in line until I'm done with this person, then they go to the next one.
Yeah,
They
and
gave
then
a ticket.
you're dealing with competing priorities in the city, so if we constantly are putting all our officers over there, then there's nobody over here. We only have 5 on the street.
That's why I say, maybe
So
financially.
yeah, it's difficult.
we
But
should be
as far as fees and things like that, that's all covered, training, all that stuff, installation, all that's covered by the vendor.
It'd just be code enforcement.
And you can use the money that comes in from the site, the fines, to pay for the attorneys that are, you could even consider hiring a local magistrate if you wanted to do that instead of using code enforcement.
Yeah, I guess I was looking at it, and I think you tried to answer, maybe they're trying to fix their system, but, Palm Bay pulling the plug on the school zone cameras, Manatee County pulled the plug on the school zone speed
I thought
camera.
Palm
They're
Bay
saying-
was the cameras in the buses. But, yeah, the other ones, I think there was some issues with the installation of it, so there was a problem with the installation of it, and that's why they sued based on how it was installed, because it was bad installation. So I don't know, I haven't read any of those cases of what's
Yeah,
going on, but.
You know, these are things, you know, are we just jumping, you know, obviously, I think we should be able to entertain it, definitely, but I think we really are gonna have to know, like, what is the cost for actually a police officer maybe to consider being there versus a speed camera and all the things, and then giving more of a burden onto Public Works, who doesn't need any more burdens in case something goes wrong, you know, our attorney time, our code enforcement. So I love the idea that we want to do whatever we can do to protect the children, so I'm not against looking into this more. I just think that we need more apples to apples. On
I'm just
what's the
thinking of
best
force
things.
multiplier. Let's take our officers and then multiply it by somebody that's, something that's there all day long.
Melissa,
I did forget to ask a question. Oh, hang on, I just went.
Greg's got one. You want to wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just being asked whether we want to approve them looking into all of those questions you just asked. That's gonna happen before we ever actually agree to implement it.
So this is why we're discussing all these things, so that when they come to us, all these questions that we're talking about today will be
They're
addressed.
gonna look into it.
That's what I just said, that I'm into this.
All right.
Thank you.
I
Melissa?
remembered. Somebody asked me, how do we add more school zones? Because there's a couple that aren't going to be covered. So how do you, if we wanted to, add another school zone?
I don't know that we need to, but I think, I don't know, I don't want to guess, because I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I would
and
think it would be something that, it would probably take not FDOT, but an engineer that's going to come in and say, do we need to?
And I'm sorry to say, I can't even remember where she said specifically, but it was somewhere in the city. Maybe it was a private school, because we said this
Oh,
is, you
okay.
know, like how that
The Good Shepherd one?
possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
just a question on how, if we wanted to, is that something we can do in the future?
Can I go ahead and make a motion to approve moving ahead with researching this?
You can, but let me say something
Yes.
to address your concern as well. The way the agenda is written, the recommended action is for council to approve to move forward with establishing a speed camera program. So it appears, just in the interpretation of it, it's more of than just find out more information. That's the way I interpret it.
Yes, because you would want to select, the next step, you would want to do a select a vendor.
Oh, yeah,
And
no, I
then,
want to know more information.
then you would decide whether you want to go forward with a contract. You could still say no ultimately in the long run, because you can say, nope, you know what, we've heard from you vendor, we're not going to approve the contract.
But that doesn't answer all these other questions. Right now, it's just going out to a bid, to a vendor, without answering these questions that, you know, what is more effective? What can be done? You know, are we just going out for contract?
There's no motion yet.
I would like to make a motion to.
Wait.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I heard a very strong opinion from one of the residents, and I'd like to offer an opportunity for the public to have a say.
Who's?
I mean, I've got somebody who actually said something in an email as well, so if you want to bring that up.
I'm Butch Tillman from Punta
We should have
Gorda,
all
Iowa.
consented on that.
The chief is getting paid $179,000 a year. Now, if she don't want to do her job, get somebody that wants to do it. You need people out here in school zones, get them in school zones. The camera deal needs to be thrown out. It's not going to end up, it's going to end up where the taxpayers are going to end up footing the bill for them to look through and see which tickets are good and which tickets are bad. It's going to be the taxpayer. It ain't going to be just a few minutes of doing that. I've already got 4 tickets from this toll booth that's not even me, but it's got my tag. So explain that, Chief.
I don't understand that word.
And then the next thing you hear, well, the state will take your license.
And they won't pay you.
So I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of hearing about this. They sit out here on the bridge, and I don't judge any of these officers out there, but if they can sit out there on the bridge and ticket people with an officer standing on the bridge, they can go do the same thing in school zones. The taxpayers can get their money that way, not the way they want to do it now by just having a speed camera or a red light camera, or whatever kind of camera they want. If it's going to go to that, then let's cut some of these officers out of a job. And we just have the cameras doing it. I'm not in favor of it. I'm not against y'all. I back y'all, but I'm not for electronic devices doing it. You already
Sir, I think you should address the
and that's
council,
good
not
enough.
a single person. I think you should address the council, not a single person.
State your name for the record, please.
Carol McDonald, I live in Punta Gorda. I'm thinking, what took so long? I'm here almost 50 years. I've picked up children, grandchildren, other people's children, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen cars as fast as 70 miles an hour go by while we're picking up kids. I mean, I think this is a desperate need for this. That's how I feel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed Partial, Burnt Store Isles. A little bit of my history. I'm a pediatric nurse, and I lived through Sandy Hook in Connecticut. Anything we can do to make our children's lives safer, not pull school resource officers out of schools, slow down people driving through school zones. When I hit a school zone, I slam on my brakes because the people behind me are going way too fast. One of these days you're going to be finding me with a rear-ended accident because of that. But anything we can do to slow down these people. Our children's lives are important to us. Thank you.
I guess that's why I think police officers are more important than cameras for our safety of our children.
Gary Skillicorn. I just have a couple comments to make. I do have a concern about the fact of 60 violations per day. I think our goal should be 0 violations per day. Now, I think maybe this goes back into this 60. The number of 60 seems to be the level they're working towards. Is that partially due to the vendor? The vendor is going to establish spacing, signage, and so forth that'll give them 100 a day. How many do you care? We want the 0, they want a maximum. I guess maybe one of my questions is, in the implementation of this, is to provide adequate signage. Not to say, still the goal is supposed to be 0 with no speeding violations, because nobody's speeding. But again, if you provide better signage, it might say something like, the citizens of Punta Gorda, we relish our children, we want to keep them safe. Ahead of you is going to be a area of speed cameras. That's going to stop everybody. They're going to slow down, and it's so we don't have to get 60 violations per day. We don't have to get 10. We can get 0 with adequate signage. A little concern too, a friendly environment. We want a friendly environment. We really don't want to ticket people. I've got a concern, this is a moneymaker. Whether it's for the vendors doing pretty good too, $21, how long does it take him to get a violation? And then, well, maybe we can manage it. There's staff time, but gee, that worries me. Staff time is very expensive, and the things that go along with it as well too. And then code enforcement. Give me a break, 39 per monthly code enforcement meeting. They've got to handle 39 violations. I think I heard that number. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa.
Chief, how many officers would you need? If we say, you know what, we're going to have you guys physically do it, how many officers?
If you wanted to get every zone, 6.
Yep, 6. And do you know how much that may cost? I can only
I
think, 'cause
use
there's
about,
vehicles,
because
there's
talking
6.
about the vehicle, I think the initial startup is about 110. It depends.
Okay.
So,
But 6 officers, 6 new cars, essentially, not possibly.
equipment, yes.
Equipment, okay.
And you have to increase your staff at some point, you know, and then once this goes down, you'll have extra staff to do other things besides just being in the school zone. It's not saying that you have to be there from an hour before school to the hour at the end of the day. That's only 180 school days, you know, so we can look at other opportunities because we've been talking about, you know, we need more, I keep on hearing you don't have enough staff to keep on maybe even stopping the people from, you know, going 90 miles per hour over the bridge and catch the motorcycles and stuff like that. But how many people actually have been injured? Have we had any incidents where it's been really bad around the school that I know the...
Justin, can you? No, we had somebody break their leg or something.
Good morning, Lieutenant DeVault. I'm in Community Services, so I have our school resource officers, that unit. We have crashes within the school zones weekly. Just last school year, at the end of last school year, we had a student dart out in front of traffic, and luckily the car that struck him was doing the speed limit in the school zone, which was about 15 miles an hour. He did suffer injuries. However, he's alive to talk about it. So by decreasing that speed in that school zone and that person actually doing the school zone speed limit, that child is alive today. Now, it is the child's fault that he darted out in the traffic, but we do have traffic crashes not involving pedestrians on a pretty regular basis all around our schools.
But the camera's not going to stop that. I mean, it might slow people down, but still, if he was going the speed limit and this person, the traffic camera isn't going to make any difference.
Well, it's not going to make a difference as far as the level of injury or how many injuries we get. However, it is going to reduce the amount of speeders through that school zone. So if we have a car that's traveling 15 miles an hour in a school zone that is supposed to be doing 15 miles an hour, and there is a collision with a pedestrian or a bicyclist, those injuries are going to be a lot less compared to a vehicle that's not following the school zone speed limit and being struck at 30 or maybe even 40 miles an hour, and that's usually a fatality situation.
And that's what we've been seeing, the speeding is, you know, over 40 miles per hour through the school zone?
Through the school zone, I'm just saying that the school zone, without the school zone flashers during arrival or dismissal, during a school zone time is 15 miles an hour. During a normal time is 30 miles an hour.
But what have you seen people traveling on that road?
We do get a lot of complaints from parents, from staff, about speeders coming through the school zones during school zone times. We do get a lot of complaints. We send out our road units when they're available to work those zones when they can, when time allows. I also do ask some SROs to go out and assist in the traffic control. But like the chief said, our goal is to keep the SROs inside the school for safety of the school staff and students on the property of the school. So we do have them come out from time to time to assist when manpower is low. However, we do get a lot of complaints of speeders in school zones.
Question?
And just from the traffic study, as you saw, 418 just on Cooper Street was doing over 41 miles an hour, or possibly over 15, so it was 26 miles an hour if it was during the yellow, so.
So it was 15 miles per hour and that they went over the 15 miles per hour during that time?
It doesn't specify which time it was, whether it was during the time when the 15 mile an hour zone was in effect or the 30. But either way, during the study, somebody was doing 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. At least 11 miles an hour. It's only capturing it if it's 11 miles an hour or more over the speed limit. So you're talking 600 a day are doing over the speed limit.
Melissa.
So, oh, you go ahead.
Yeah. If you could pick, you want 6 new officers and you would be able to patrol those yourself? Or would you rather have the cameras, just out of curiosity?
If it was me, I would like both. I like the idea of the cameras. I just feel like we're finally starting to get to a point where we're able to be more proactive, and the cameras to me are, like I said, a force multiplier. Now, we don't just go away because the cameras are there. We still can have officers. Amber has been addressing an issue over at the rec center where the kids are getting off at the Y and there's speeders going by. So it just gives her that and the other officers the ability to do other things within that area, not just focus on one particular road versus the other. So you're capturing all 6 zones at the same time, and then Amber can come in, or whoever can come in and do enforcement in addition to what's happening with the cameras.
It seems that, I mean, we already discussed this, I believe, that An officer can only stop one person at a time, and meanwhile, there could be 3 or 4 cars speeding by.
Yes.
The cameras will catch every single one of them.
Yes.
And is a better deterrent in my mind, in my thinking. And I want the deterrent.
Yeah,
Officers can't stop every car that's speeding.
and you guys probably know this, there's 3 E's to traffic control. You got your engineering, you got your education, and you got your enforcement. So this is kind of a mixture of all 3 of those. Your engineering, because you got the signage up, you've got the enforcement because the cameras, and the education part's gonna happen at the beginning, so.
A big concern too is, like we're looking at with our code enforcement, not everybody is gonna pay them. And what if these people are like, forget it, it's not gonna count points, it's not gonna go on my insurance, I'm not gonna pay it, and now all of a sudden we have all these fees and stuff like that, we're paying people, and is this actually gonna cost the taxpayers more money? And I agree too, though, you know, you talk about, you know, just catching one person, but I slow down when I see a cop, you know, pulling somebody over, so I do think it is still a deterrent, even if you're catching one person, the other people are slowing down. You know,
Well,
it's
and-
not everybody, but, and why can we consider volunteer police, you know, or anybody to be in the areas as well?
I do actually have volunteers go out and do different areas.
That's dangerous.
And they sit there and people read,
Can't do anything.
they read it and they say that it's volunteers.
But it's,
so.
people avoid signs too, how many people miss stop
But
signs?
they can't
on the-
avoid that camera.
Yeah.
And if you're not speeding, you don't get the ticket.
But the ticket is not it's hard to enforce a code enforcement ticket, you know, it's hard to actually.
It still goes on your, so if you don't pay that ticket, then, and 30 days goes by, then it goes to courts. So it doesn't just stop at code
It
enforcement.
goes to the court system.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't hear that before.
Oh, yes. So if you don't do anything, you don't pay it, you don't do anything else, it goes to the court system, and that's when it starts to affect that's when things get affected, like your insurance and things like that. So the initial $100 fee, as long as you pay it, or you can even come to the code enforcement, try to appeal. If you still lose or you win, whatever, it's good. But if you don't do anything, it goes to the courts.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yes, please.
So, I've been in the court system 25 years. I'm routinely in courts, and I sometimes show up in traffic court. And it's what's called like a diversion program, or like a pre-trial program. Look, we're giving you an opportunity to pay this $100 today, or within the next 30 days, in order to keep the points off of your license. Sure. But in the event you fail to pay this, PGPD or whoever will refer it to the court system, where an actual citation then gets issued to the driver.
That's a good incentive.
At that point, they then have to go into court and hope that, because the fine will then be...
It goes up.
It goes up, it's doubled in a speed zone, in a school zone. Then you have to hope that the judge will withhold adjudication on your ticket in order to keep the points off of your license. They may require you to do a 12-hour or 8-hour basic traffic school. So it's an opportunity to do so. Now, in my experiences in dealing with other counties who have these programs, the vast majority of people are going to pay the $100. Right. Let's say, for example, 80% pay it. I heard someone say earlier, our average age is 66 years old. I am assuming they're, you know, God forbid, should they be one of the ones who get the ticket, they're probably going to pay it. You'll get your few that will refuse to and who will end up, you know, saying, hey, it was John Doe who did it. Let them go to court with it. Then it's up to the courts to decide on which way it goes. Officers have, and routinely being in court, whether it's license plate readers for criminal detection, whether it's body-worn cameras to help out, this is another mechanism for deterrence in order to help protect your children and our children. Perfect. So that's just my perspective in seeing it in the court system. It's an opportunity to keep it off of your license.
Which again is going to cause staff time and more issues. But again, the number one issue that we're here for is the safety of our kids. So I guess this is the point of where we say, yes, let's look at it. I would have rather had more apples to apples than having this thrown at us to go to procurement for us to say yes or no at that time. It would have been a lot nicer, you know, to say, hey,
Well,
this
you
is.
can amend it, I think, right?
I would like to make a motion to approve 6D. I don't feel like anything's been thrown at us. Thank you for the information. What's going to happen is it's going to go to procurement. We're going to have a vendor come in. We're going to have the vendor then give us their take on exactly what they do as a company. We can ask all those questions there. They can do a presentation. At that point, we can make a decision. That's my motion to move
I
6D.
second that motion.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Aye. Okay, 3-2, motion carries.
Thank you.
I'm bad with the police now. Chief, I was trying to get you more staff.
We should take that to a position. We just gotta figure out how to pay for it.
Okay, next is event permits. Okay, so staff is requesting city council approval for the downtown Halloween celebration.
Good morning, Lieutenant Justin Vault, Police Department for the record. Usually I bore you guys with a PowerPoint. I think this year I just cut it down to just a map. So a couple years ago, prior to 2021, we had an incident where we had a pedestrian struck by a vehicle during our Halloween celebration downtown in the historic district. That individual suffered minor injuries, however, could have been a much worse situation. From that point forward, we had made a decision and come and requested the streets and the historic district to be shut down to prevent any injuries. Usually at Halloween time, we see anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 attendees. It's one of the largest non-event events in Charlotte County, where people come to congregate all the way from south of us from Cape Coral and Fort Myers, and north of us from Northport and Sarasota. So the plan is to do like we did last year. The traffic on Retta Esplanade, West Retta Esplanade, westbound going into PGI would remain open. The eastbound lane of West Retta Esplanade would remain closed for the time of the event. The event, let me step back. The event would start, streets being closed down at 5 p.m., fully closed down at 6 p.m., starting to be reopened back at 9 p.m., and then fully functioning at 10 p.m. So West Retta, like I said, to the north, West Olympia to the south, and then Shreve Street to the west, and then Cross Street to the east would be the section that we're looking to close down, and that would include all of the little side streets, including Harvard Street, Durant's, Gilchrist, McGregor, Chastine, Dolly, Berry, and Sarah Streets to be closed down during that time frame.
And the residents, it seems like the residents love it. They decorate something amazing out there. So.
Yeah, usually the residents are fully involved as well, kind of doing their own parties. However, we do print up a letter, and I have one for each of you for you to review it, that we'll hand out door to door. We'll utilize our volunteer unit and our road patrol to go door to door, notifying all the residents in this area that will be affected of the closing. Also, starting October 18th, we'll have message boards up in that area as well, and then obviously heavy presence on social media.
Great. Any questions? No. Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve 6G.
Aye, second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I can't wait for it to come again.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next is the event permit for Premier Auto Auction.
Good afternoon, Rachel Berry, zoning official for the record. So yes, this is event permit 25-191575 for the Premier Auto Auction proposed for December 1st through the 9th at the Charlotte Harbor Event Center. They are requesting temporary road closure of Retta to Taylor Road to northbound US 41. And Harborside Drive would still be accessible for cross traffic.
Seems like this would be a good event for our businesses, bringing in a lot of people. Does anybody have any experience with that? I'm not really ever participated in the auto auction, but.
It's cool.
Busy.
Yeah,
It's really
it seems
neat.
like a great thing for our businesses.
So are you saying you don't want Rachel to finish her
Oh, there's
presentation?
more?
Oh, I don't have
Oh, I
anything.
see.
more.
Oh, you don't
have any- okay, we were
I
waiting
was
on you.
just
I didn't
seeing
know
if
if
there
you
was a map that they were gonna pull up to show, the road closure.
I'll
Yeah.
move to approve 6H. We've done this before.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Wasn't that easy, Rachel? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next is awarding the amendment to Corolla Engineers to provide well field management consulting services for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Good afternoon, Anna Heinen Procurement for the record. Staff received a request to receive services, a proposal for services for the well field management. They were requested from the master contract for water supply using the rates from the master contract. This service will be performed over the next 12 months. The cost is $84,382.50. The scope of work would be compiling and reviewing the pumpage and water quality data for the well field management, and the services would be required by the city water use permit, and an annual report is also required by the regulatory agency. This helps staff to protect and optimize our drinking water supply. It helps them evaluate how much water can be safely withdrawn from the aquifer, monitor the performance and water quality of our wells, and ensure we stay in compliance with the regulatory agencies. So in short, this helps make sure that our RO plant has reliable and sustainable source of water now and into the future. Staff is recommending approval of this authorization.
Do you have any questions? Can you get a motion?
Motion to approve, where are we on? 6I.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Sarah, boards and committee.
Good afternoon, City Council. Under nominations, we had an item for the Burnt Store Isles Canal Advisory Committee. However, the current members do not desire to seek reappointment. Therefore, we did have 2 applications that came in, which can be considered at the October 22nd meeting. So we would like to continue the nominations to that meeting.
Is that fine?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then would it be okay if I go ahead and do my report?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we are really excited that Fall Festival is almost here. We have had so many organizations and businesses reach out to become a part of it. I would like to give a brief thanks to all of our sponsors so far: Sunshine Art Studio, First Baptist Church Punta Gorda, Friends of the Punta Gorda Library, Jarrett Ford of Charlotte County, Landsberg Bennett Wealth Management, Lowe's Port Charlotte, Nino's Bakery, Publix, Smooth Treats and More, The Escape Ventures Port Charlotte, The Firm, The Parrot, Time Realty, Walmart, and YMCA Punta Gorda. And then we also have a number of trick-or-treat partners that are going to be present to help make sure that the kids all have a good time. So far, we have American Red Cross, Animal Welfare League of Charlotte County, Blanchard House Museum, Boys and Girls Club of Charlotte County, Center for Abuse and Rape Emergencies, Charlotte County Human Services, Charlotte DeSoto Building Industry Association, Charlotte Harbor Environmental Center, Community Care Plan, Charlotte County, Florida Department of Health, Gilstad Literacy Foundation, also known as the Charlotte County Imagination Library, Habitat for Humanity, Health Planning Council of Southwest Florida, Punta Gorda Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, League of United Latin American Citizens, Masonic Lodge number 115, Parrot Outreach, Peace River Wildlife Center, Punta Gorda Garden Club, Punta Gorda Housing Authority, Punta Gorda Isles Civic Association, Southwest Florida Honor Flight, Team Punta Gorda, Valerie's House, Charlotte County, Virginia B. Andes, and finally, the YMCA of Punta Gorda. So it's going to be even bigger than it was last year. And we really would love to express our appreciation for the Punta Gorda Charlotte Library for acting as the host for this year's event and partnering with us on making sure that there will be activities for the kids to do there. We hope we'll see everyone at the library on October 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. I would like to give a little update on the election. We have had our vote by mail ballots go out. Over-the-counter ballots are available now. So people can continue to vote either of those ways through November 3rd. Since ballots have been made available, we have had 592 ballots cast so far, which doesn't sound bad, but that's only 3.84% of our 15,400 registered voters. I've heard some people say that they like to vote on election day to get their I voted sticker, so I would like to take a moment to reassure everyone, if that is what's holding you back, they have the stickers available at the Supervisor of Elections office, and they are so cute. We had a student from Sally Jones that won the contest to design them. I hope everyone will go turn in your ballot so that you can collect one. Thank you.
Are you still looking for candy?
We are desperately looking for candy, yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Steve?
I have nothing to add. What legal matters have been pending or have been taken care of, and working on the others. And here in the weeks to come, I'll be asking Dr. Reichert and Odalis to coordinate a shade meeting with you guys regarding some other matters that are pending in court.
Yay. Dr. Reichert?
Okay, I think what we'll start is with that signage issue that we discussed at pre-agenda. So Boyd, if you could please come up.
Boyd Lawrence, Planning Director. Yeah, and I think Ashley's going to bring up the sign that we displayed on Monday. Just getting back to this matter, it was FDOT, actually it was through David Meyer in our right-of-way division that first brought it to my attention middle of last week, and then I spoke with FDOT. What they wanted to do was to place a sign, and it basically connects to it was an executive order by the governor in December of last year to initiate a program for the America 250 celebration, which will be next July 4th. And there's an advisory committee that was established, and working with the Florida Department of State to create some programs, and this is one of the events or programs that they decided to do, was to display a sign in each county highlighting an important place in that county that's well known. Could be a site of history or other use, a museum or other places to visit. And my understanding from FDOT is there wasn't an application process or anything. It was, I guess the museum's known through the Visit Florida as a popular site, and also through the military history that was cited in the executive order that was signed. So this site was one that was suggested, and then they got local input from FDOT as a site to consider. So that's kind of how it came about. It's going to be, they want to install it by Columbus Day, next Monday, and it'll be in place until July 4th next year. FDOT will maintain the sign. It's the same materials they use on the other signs. It's aluminum placard, aluminum pole. So, and they've already coordinated a location in Pittman Park with our right-of-way division. It's going to be more closer to the sidewalk than it will be to the West Retta. So, but they just wanted to have a location where people can see it.
So
they were just looking for consensus to place that.
My question is, it's done by the FDOT. Every single one is going to have just the front page, the front side is going to be whoever they chose that has to do with veterans is going to have just that on the front, and on the back it's going to have the 250 years.
Yeah, the description in the back.
But that's exactly how everybody else's is going.
Well, I was told in some circumstances they could do either way depending on the site and the placement. I guess the gentleman I talked to yesterday, Lee County, the site there is the Edison Homestead and Museum. That's where they have it in Lee County.
So the front will just say Edison, and the back side will say the 250 years.
Yeah,
so
I think
the whole front is just that. That's
yeah, in
what
that situation it was one sign, as they explained to me. So
I'm sorry, I missed that.
So yeah, it was one sign. So the welcome is on one side, and then the description on the back side.
So if that's what's normal for everybody, that they have just the nonprofit that's on the one side and then this on the other side, that's what the DOT.
In that case, but another person I talked to said it could vary in some of the other counties depending on the site.
Maybe you mentioned you'd like to see them kind of stacked.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
We want to see that this is about the 250 years. You know, I love the fact that it's incorporating our Military Heritage Museum, but what concerned me before is it feels like advertisement, and people are going this way aren't going to see the back side, people going the other way won't see the front side, so it's nice to have it all, you know, so that it doesn't look like you're just advertising for one and don't realize that it's for the 250 years.
Yeah, and I don't think their intent was to advertise, it was one site that they're promoting, and it'll bring, you know, hopefully people in that'll go to other places within the town, so stores, restaurants.
Doesn't sound like we have a lot of say. It's just, do we want to place it or not?
Yeah, what they want to do. In the situation of stacking them too, then you're creating a larger face, and then it's a 6 by 10 or a 3 by 10, so depending on how the configuration is.
And if I may, Mayor, so I was questioned about this earlier. What they wanted to originally do was put it at the Military Heritage Museum, but because that's privately owned, they can't do that without a permit and would take too long of a time. That's why they're putting it in a public area, so it kind of feels like it's not really with the park, but it wasn't intended to be to begin with, because the permitting would have been too long, and they wanted it in before that. So if they took it to a public park or a publicly owned property, then they didn't need a permit. So that's where we are with the sign and why it says the Military Heritage Museum. At least that's how I understood it.
I guess the frustrating part is it came to us on Monday, you know, and it sounds like this has been in the works for a while. And it feels like we're just going, oh, okay, because it's too late, we can't make any changes in the design because it's too late, and this is what FDOT wants. And we need to stop doing that. I don't know how we can get the word out, but I can understand where if it was a Military Heritage Museum wanting to do it on their own property, that they are advertising their property, which is advertising, but it's doing it for a good purpose. But now we have the Military Heritage Museum on one side where people might not see what it is on the back side. That's my concern.
It's up for a year, right?
Yeah, less than that, 9 months.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I vote to move forward with it.
Okay, we're still talking. Does anybody else have anything to say about it? Janice, do you have anything?
No, I'm fine with it. I mean,
Greg, you have anything?
This is part of a statewide program that will attract visitors to our city.
Right.
When they look into it and see where they are, then they'll come here.
Okay.
And that's good for us.
Absolutely. What we're talking about is it advertising? And
It's
if we
advertising for Punta Gorda.
It's Military Heritage Museum. Now, so please let me finish. So what we're looking at, and that was my big concern, is it should have been brought to us sooner so that we could actually say, yes, this is great, we want the Military Heritage Museum, but for people walking one way, they're not going to see anything about what it says with the Military Heritage Museum. I don't have a problem with this, I just have a problem with, it seems like half the people walking one way aren't going to turn their heads and look at the back side of a sign. And then it just says one thing. I think it's great. I think that it's wonderful that we're doing something with our military. But again, I hope that this doesn't happen again where, you know, something's coming up on a Monday for a Wednesday vote.
Yeah.
When we should have said, no, this design is not acceptable. We need to have a better tourism attraction for our city.
Well, you can say no. That's the ask. Yes or no, right?
Yeah,
It's a little late. It's due October 13th.
Yeah, we told them we'd try to get a consensus from the council.
So we can say yes or we can say no.
And they had communicated with staff about the location, and then it came to me, and I talked with the zoning official and the city manager. It's like, this is something we need to bring to the council, so.
Okay.
That's how we got there.
Melissa, you want to finish with your?
Yeah, I motion to move forward with it.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it was unanimous.
Okay, the Tiger Dam anchors are 98% complete. Thank you, Public Works. The Tiger Dam anchors. The Gilchrist restroom permits have been issued. Supplies are arriving. The doors are being replaced to secure the building. We anticipate the restrooms being open by Christmas. Internal components for the electrical panel that feeds the bathroom arrived yesterday. This will be our electrician's top priority. Core drilling for the temporary fence that'll go along the former waterfront hotel site is underway. The requisition has been entered for the pickleball and tennis courts. The splash pad, the construction of the Lashley splash pad is ongoing. The drain function is preventing us from moving forward with having the DOH inspect it. The engineer of record has worked up a solution. The contractor has come back with a price, and now we will determine the path forward with that. And the City Hall roof will be completed by the end of November.
Question?
Sure.
So once the fence is up on the Harbor Walk, will that mean it's open, or is that the only remaining thing to be done?
It
Or
means,
is the event center a problem?
so you can still walk in front of the event center right now. That will continue. There may be a time where they have to close that when they replace their seawall. We're not exactly sure about that, but then we have some of those the decks that go across the water in a couple of places. Those have not been replaced yet. Those will be part of the waterfront amenities when those are all evaluated. That'll be a part of that project.
So when will it be open? Like after those fences are done or not? I'm not sure what you're...
The Harbor Walk itself is open now, and it will have a greater portion of it open. There are a couple of detours on the walk, and those will come at a later date. And Ron, if you have more information.
A segment in front of the old hotel is where we're adding the 4-foot tall temporary fencing. In the very corner of it on the outside, there's a pair of owls that have made nests in the dirt that's exposed out there. We're going to work through that with FWC, and that concrete will have to be replaced before it can be open. But we anticipate very soon, as long as the owls cooperate.
Love owls.
And that was all I had.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you.
Melissa.
Missy.
I have nothing.
I'm good.
Greg.
Yes, I recently attended the League of Cities Legislative Committee meeting on utilities, natural resources, and public works. And we were looking at bills that are going to go through the legislative process in this next cycle that may benefit our city or may be a detriment. And we're prioritizing those. For example, the 25% surcharge for water customers outside of the city. There's a legislator that wants to eliminate that. And we're going to advocate, that's going to be one of our top priorities. We haven't decided yet. There are 2 more meetings that we're going to have before the legislative session kicks off. But I'm really excited to be part of that. And I would like to encourage the rest of the council to elevate our focus from micromanaging the city and get involved in this legislative advocacy. There are 4 other committees we have no representation on. One is on taxation. And it's really important to our city that we have that representation. It's what we're intended to do for our city. That's it.
Janine.
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
The only thing I was going to say is the Charlotte High Parade tomorrow night. It starts at 5 o'clock, so hopefully we can have everybody there, and we'll open this up for public comment. Anybody? I guess meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Where's the parade starting?